Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Age of the Anti-Fan podcast. This is your host, Agent Boomer. I'm kidding. This is welcome to Geeky Geezers, and this is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli, and I'm Agent Boomer.
Hello,
Welcome,
hello.
everybody. Of course, I guess I used up 10 minutes. It's 10 seconds anyway. We're all here. We're all here. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm like, I see all these trailers dropping. I'm like, wow, Deadpool and Wolverine
Did you
and
see the
Deadpool.
Deadpool one?
I watched that one before the stream. Yeah, it looks good.
It actually looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: the Apes movie might look good. I mean, what are we going to do if Disney actually releases a couple of decent movies this year? And it'd be like, this is.
Well, here's what I said. I was over on Legion Talk and with Samael and the whole crew over there for a Star Trek watch party, and we got to talking because someone dropped a super chat and asked him to play the trailer. And so we watched it, and someone said, "Yeah, this looks great, but it's not going to save Marvel." I'm like, "No, it's not. That's exactly it. No matter how good it is, this is the only thing it's going to save is the reputation of the Deadpool series.
Yes,
and this is going to close it out, and we'll be done and happy as fans, and then we can absolutely walk away from Marvel." And that's exactly what I think a lot of fans are going to think.
probably more so than like a Guardians 3, which I think also was a closeout. Because basically, what else is there? And I think also Spider-Man No Way Home, that felt like a closeout too.
Yeah.
When you watch that movie, I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but there's.
I do feel like the showrunners behind these things are getting, and I'm seeing it more and more with, we talked about it with the special effects artists, a lot of actors, and certainly directors are now starting to look at Disney and go, we don't want to work with you anymore. Our careers are far more valuable to us. We'll just go do other stuff, other places. Thank you, bye.
Ryan Reynolds can do whatever he wants. I mean, the man has a lot of money. But
Netter was just telling me that he and what's his name, Krasinski, are they're working on a project about imaginary friends or something like that.
Oh,
and
really?
I'm like, oh, as long as it's not Disney. She goes, no, it's Paramount. And I said, well, there you go. I said, that's a shot across the bow at Disney, because that's If is the name of the movie. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, Krasinski's a great actor too. He
also got shafted by Disney with the whole Marvel thing.
I couldn't believe that. That was I'm going to say this. That was sort of like a fart in the face. For starters, if they weren't going to use him as Reed Richards, they should have even had him in that movie.
Exactly.
They should have just cast the one from the 20th Century Fox Fantastic Four movies.
This is exactly what I keep telling people. I don't give a flying fart in a storm that they cast Pedro Pascal. I have nothing against him. I'm not a big fan of his, but I have no problem with him playing the role if they hadn't already had Krasinski playing it in the multiverse of whatever it is.
And just to see him get killed off in that horrifying fashion.
And it's like the only reason people gave him a pass is like, well, they're signaling he's coming back as Reed Richards, right? Well, apparently not. Ridiculous. So it's like, you know what? I will not see that movie. I will not see that movie because it is such a literal, intentional slap in the face to the fans.
It's what you call trolling the fans. That's what you do when you do something like, because they knew the fans wanted Krasinski, so they throw him in there only to kill him off, and then you'll never see him again. You know who did this a lot, and I'm going to say this, Moffat did this on Doctor Who a lot too.
Yeah.
I have Sonic sunglasses, which these people threw in there just because the fans like the Sonic screwdriver. It's like, stop it.
Yeah.
Let me say hi to the chat. Welcome, Netter of Netters Network. I got a hi, sweetie. Happy Sunday, Geezer. Super Bowl Sunday. Was not aware. Have a great show. Hello, chat. Welcome. Deleted Scenes. I got a salute from Deleted Scenes. You can catch his pre-show before this show, and there's usually a link in the description below that you can click on just to go to his pre-show. He's talked about earlier what we're going to be talking about a little bit too, which is the big story of the week, which is hopefully justice and maybe a payout for someone whose career got destroyed for no reason. Keep in mind, my beef over that thing was bad enough that they let her go, but if that had just been behind the scenes, we're not renewing your contract. Okay, well, people do that. but that was a public destruction of a career. That's the problem. She has
and
every
that is
ground
what
to
the
sue.
case is all about.
Yes.
And that is, and it's like she doesn't care about the money. She wants all the discovery out there because it clears her name.
Yeah,
You know?
and we want an end to this cancel culture nonsense.
And it's not just even us. It goes farther than just even us as her fans or fans of Star Wars or people that are pissed at Disney at this point. It's all of us that understand, and we said this at the time, that work in business areas where we've been treated like this by companies, and we don't have the money to fight it, right? To be able to say, you don't get to do this to people. There are laws against this.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the process is the punishment because I can't afford to get the justice, you know?
But now she can.
Yes. And when she does it and she's backed by Elon, now I can go and say, you know what? Maybe I will find a way to take this employer to court and we will cite this case when we do it. Lady V, if you go up a bit, she says, think I'm going to watch Gone with the Wind for Valentine's Day, then the horror flicks. Lady V, I already like you. You don't have to keep giving me reasons to like you.
I'm not finding the chat here. Oh, yeah, here we are. Okay, I'm going to watch Gone with it. What's a good horror Valentine's Day? There's My Bloody Valentine. That's a classic.
What? Netter and I are fighting over Lady V.
Funny. My Bloody Valentine. Ever see that?
My Bloody Valentine. I've seen that one.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
I'm sure they must have done a movie about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder if it was in that Capone movie starring Sylvester Stallone. That was made back by Roger Corman.
Oh, could be.
I bet they did that scene in that movie because they would do that in a sleazier Al Capone movie. They would do the Valentine's Day Massacre. What did I like though?
So there's a movie called Valentine, My Bloody Valentine. It got a remake.
Yeah, I have to still check out the remake. I heard the remake actually wasn't bad, but I haven't.
Into the Dark, My Valentine, which is a Hulu film. The Love Witch.
That's a good one. I know Al didn't care as much for it, but I liked it.
2016, really? This looks like a retro film.
It's meant to look like a retro film. It's actually, here's the weird thing. It's meant to look like a movie that was made like in the late 60s, right? But the problem with the movie is that I think the director actually intends to be set in modern times, which threw me off because no, this looks like a throwback movie that, it takes place in the 60s the way basically you
well, you know what, it's on Tubi. I'll add it to my list and I'll check it out.
I enjoyed it. I don't know if you will, but I enjoyed
Hospital
it.
Massacre, which is also titled X-Ray. It's from 1981. Apparently
take place on Valentine's Day.
Picnic at Hanging Rock, 1975. I don't know, man. There are a number of good horror films, so I haven't seen all of them, but definitely sounds like one I'd be interested in.
Jesse Corrado, I'm playing the PlayStation 4, but what are you playing on the PlayStation 4? That's what we want to know. I have did I ever tell you I have the special Spider-Man edition console of the PlayStation 4 that was the red and had the Spider-Man symbol on top?
Did I ever tell you I have Spider-Man underoos?
Well, good for you. No, I got the special edition PlayStation 4 because I was waiting for them to release a PlayStation 4 that had a game I wanted. And it's like they putting all this crap that I didn't want, like that horrible Star Wars Battlefront game and other things in these systems. Like, give me something that I want. Then finally they released the Spider-Man console. Okay, that's a game I want, so that's when I got it. And it was a special themed Spider-Man console. But I don't know.
Where are we at on the chat? Did you say Jesse?
Oh, Jesse, I said hi.
Jesse,
JPRPH1, welcome.
Deleted scenes, of course, we were talking about earlier.
Battlefront 2. Oh, that's funny because I was so saying.
Right, exactly.
Is that Star Wars Battlefront 2? Well, enjoy. Just watch out for loot boxes. They might have gotten rid of those in the sequels. I don't know.
And Jesse confirms there's a 1967 film, The St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I thought so, because I remember my grandfather talking about a movie related to it. So, and he must have liked it.
Welcome to Geeky Geezers. Here is the lovely thumbnail that Troy put together, and I I'm telling you, I didn't even know what you were talking about with the Wonder Man story. You must have sent it to me. It's like, oh, that's what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
try to be as gentle with that as we can.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awful news, but I forgot all about the character Wonder Man from Marvel.
It's another one of those ones that was created to kind of thumb their nose at DC. And there were similar battles over it, kind of like the whole Captain Marvel thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like a character that should be in a Deadpool movie. That's what it sounds
Right.
But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the good old days. And frankly, I know it doesn't seem like the good old days, but at this point, I think it is. I think the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are now the good old days.
Yeah.
I think we're not
It's
getting
not
Johnny
like
Depp
they're
back.
that old, but you're right. They are now the good old
Well,
days.
the first one came out, Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003. It's over 20 years old now. I know it's hard to believe.
I am so fucking old.
It feels that way, but I remembered Curse of the Black Pearl. This came on the heels of Lord of the Rings, and I remember Lord of the Rings was a big deal, so you got to see Orlando Bloom again in this,
right?
And Johnny Depp, and it's like you're basing another movie on one of your theme park rides. That didn't work out so well for the Haunted Mansion Disney, and I think that's what I thought at the time,
right?
Or maybe the Haunted Mansion came out right after this one, but this was a weird one when it came out because Ebert and Roper were split on it, where Roper gave it a thumbs down because he thought it was too long. But then he gave it a recommendation on home video because he says, well, home video, you can hit pause and get something to eat or something.
Well, okay. There's something to be said for that. Sure.
I remember Roger Ebert making a point that he felt like Johnny Depp was channeling a drag queen in his performance of Captain Jack Sparrow.
And I'm willing to bet you that if Johnny Depp heard that, he'd probably be like, I may not have thought of that, but okay, I'll accept that,
This is one of these movie series that my late father kind of got into, but then like there was stuff he didn't understand.
Look, there is a lot here. I think the vast majority of people that, and I'm going to speak mostly to the first movie because I don't, if I saw any of the later movies, I don't have a great deal of memory of them. But that
I'll
first
talk
movie,
a little bit about them.
Yeah, that first movie. Jesse saying, "I wish I had a shot of him. Why is the rum always gone?"
Yeah, that's your clip you often show.
Exactly. And it's always going to be Kraken rum. If I'm going to have a spiced rum, it's going to be Kraken. I just love it. It's just yum. It really is. And if you're going to drink something that rhymes with yum, it's got to be good. But so there is a lot in that first movie, and I have to assume to some degree the other movies as well.
Yes.
If you are a fan of the pirate genre, going to another Disney film, Treasure Island, for example.
Treasure Island, yeah.
If you are a fan of the pirates, if you are a history fan, I know that, Big Al's probably going, "Ooh, what's Troy going to say about this?" Look, no, this is a fictional story. You don't expect it to be historically accurate, but there are some nods to history.
Real pirates, yeah.
A history fan, you're like, oh, I see what they did there. That's pretty cool. And by the same token, if you are a fan of, and this one is mandatory, if you are a fan of the ride, Pirates of the Caribbean, then there are a lot of Easter eggs in this movie.
In the original movie, I remembered that. Yeah, like the dog, right? I think the dog was.
Yeah.
I always remember the dog from the ride for some reason. He has the keys. Yeah, the dog has the keys in his mouth, and the pirates are trying to coax the dog into bringing them to him. I remember.
Right, and that's one of the more obvious ones. There were some smaller ones, background shots, things like that. That again, because it's a 20-year-old film, that's why we got as good a movie as we did. If Disney was doing this now,
no,
a lot of those elements wouldn't be there because they are embarrassed about some of the elements of these rides.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit the modern narrative.
Doesn't fit the modern narrative. Yeah. A bunch of crap. Sorry, excuse me.
David
Disney was
mentioned-
as wholesome. Old school Disney is about as wholesome as anything could get in the United States. So I don't know. They are nitpicking every little thing. It's this needing to have moral superiority over people who lived in the past, which is a bunch of nonsense. Yeah.
David Pensek says, "Gotta love the stunt work in this film, especially giving the stuntmen in the industry to do their thing." Yeah.
Yeah.
But also then not then, I'm kind of going backwards. Jesse Guajardo said, "Did Pirates of the Caribbean have a toy line?" Honestly, Jesse, I don't know if they did, other than role play toys.
Yeah.
Things like, hats and cutlasses and things for boys to dress up and play. And there was a Lego line.
Yes. I remember the Lego line because, of course, Lego famously, when I was getting out of Lego back in the, I guess, early 90s, they were starting to introduce pirates. So this is a win-win for Lego. They can just go back and they've already have the template for designing these pirate sets. And now they have Pirates of the Caribbean they can throw on.
That's exactly right. And I remember picking up secondhand the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
And whatever ship, I don't even know if it was actually from the Pirates line or if it was one of their previous ones, the brown, regular sailing ship, because
they're compatible with each other.
Yeah, exactly. They're in the same scale, but you know what else they're in scale with? Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. And I was doing a pirate-based adventure, a long-term adventure. And so one day, the players come in and I have the whole table decked out with blue felt for the water and the ships and island bases with cannons and whatnot. And they're like, okay, this is going to be a battle.
Yes. Well, that's neat. And even had the little cannons on it, right?
Exactly.
Jack Sparrow had one of the great entrances from history. Yeah, because his ship is basically sinking as he walks to the harbor. And he just steps off it as the rest of it sinks.
Right? I know. I think that's just brilliant. That is just brilliant.
Jesse Grotto, I only like the first three films. Fair enough. I still like the fourth one. People were mixed on that one, but I enjoyed it. And then the fifth one, sort of, if you can almost look at it as a wrap up for the whole series, though I know people for some reason didn't respond as favorably to that. But I don't know. I enjoyed all of them. I'll admit that. But
I'll tell you what, then I think we're gonna have to look at that last film as a wrap up because we'll be talking about what they're planning to do to this series.
Yeah. There's a neat little Easter egg, or at least for fans of the first film, a little Easter egg at the end of part 5. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, big deal when it came out. It took them 3 years to make a follow up.
Yeah.
But this was back when Disney was still, honestly, acting like a normal movie studio, not trying to conquer the entire world. They were just, how do we be our best with our own properties?
Right.
And Dead Man's Chest followed, and I remember, I don't think I caught that in the theater. I think I had to wait for video for that one. And all I remember is that I think Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley and all them, they were out looking for Jack Sparrow, and they end up on this island somewhere, and a bunch of natives capture Orlando Bloom and them, and then I guess Jack Sparrow was with them, and he goes, ooh, and he's saying some gibberish, and he says, "Snippy, snippy." And I was wondering, I think I know what that means, and it don't sound good, right?
No, it does not.
And I don't know if they were gonna roast him on a spit too or something. I don't know, but it's just funny stuff. They just get weird with part 2. I mean, if you thought the first one had what's his name as the villain, great character actor. Why do I always forget names when I'm on the
Oh, damn it. He played, darn. Give me a second.
I'll find out.
Because he was
moment.
Okay. He was in Couple.
Jeffrey Rush.
Oh, that's not who I was thinking of. Sorry.
Who were you thinking of?
Let me look it up, because now I have to look it up.
Jonathan Pryce? Jonathan Pryce was in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
The Caribbean.
I guess he was the father of Keira Knightley, maybe. Maybe that's who he played, yeah.
No, I was thinking of...
the guy from Coupling was in it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, and I'm trying to find him. He was the Jack Davenport.
Yes.
Yeah, he plays the British officer.
Yes.
Norrington, I believe. he I mean, when Nether and I first saw the movie, we're like, that's Steve.
Forgive me, Chad. I'm trying to remember how these end. Did part 2 end with him getting sucked into Davy Jones's locker, and then the sequel begins with him being in there, and then suddenly it's very weird because they're like multiple Jack Sparrows running around in this weird part of Davy Jones's
I
locker.
definitely did not see the third movie then. That does not sound at all familiar to me.
It's just some weird stuff. My dad, I remember he was looking up some blog on it saying that there were like continuity errors within the individual movie, not between the movies, like in like an individual movie where you're wondering, wait, why is this character now acting this way when he just said he was never going to do, you know what I mean? They're fun though. I'm not going to say they always make a lick of sense. The most coherent plot, in my opinion, I'm sorry, people may disagree with me in the chat, I thought was the fourth one, which was the hold on, did I just get that was on Stranger Tides? Do you know the story behind that one? They wanted to do a Jack Sparrow versus Blackbeard movie, right?
Okay.
And apparently, and they involved the Fountain of Youth, you know, the Ponce de Leon Fountain of Youth, right? And then they figured out that someone had already written a book, a novel, about a pirate named Jack that gets kidnapped by Blackbeard while he's searching for the Fountain of Youth. Do you know what Disney did?
God.
They just said they just optioned the novel and adapted it. That's what they did.
Why not?
I guess to avoid being sued, but it's interesting though because I think it starts out with Jack Sparrow. He's on trial by the King of England, which was that the Mad King George. I think was putting him on trial. I think
might have been.
Whoever was playing him was really hamming it up. I think it's the guy that played Father Dursley in the Harry Potter movies. He was King George, and it's completely ridiculous. He escapes, but there's a point where I guess Jack Sparrow was involved with Blackbeard's daughter, played by Penelope Cruz.
Oh, okay.
And who's the actor who played Lovejoy on BBC's Lovejoy? He was also in Deadwood. You know what I'm talking about?
I saw neither of those.
Oh my goodness. Well, he played Blackbeard. I can find out who was in it. And it's funny because Johnny Depp's on Blackbeard's ship, right, with the other crew members, and the other crew member says, so where is Blackbeard? He only stays in his quarters and only comes out when we're all asleep. And then he's figuring there's no Blackbeard on this ship.
Right.
And he engages a mutiny and they're all going to mutiny and take over. And then guess who walks out from underneath the ship? It's Blackbeard.
Right.
And he has black magic. I think he has like people he's turned into zombies working for him. It's just this, like voodoo type zombies.
I'm going to have to check this movie out. This does sound good.
It's kind of a standalone picture. It's not really related to the other three. And then 4 sort of wraps everything up. It's there's a ghost of a Spanish captain that's wanting revenge on Captain Jack Sparrow. And it sort of wraps up the series. I think Javier Bardem plays him. But and then that basically wraps up. And that's it. Oh, look, I'm looking at the description. It says, Jack Sparrow incites the human crew to mutiny against the zombies, but then Blackbeard comes out. That's right. There are mermaids in this movie. There's all sorts of things in this movie. There's the Fountain of Youth. Anyway, you might love it or hate it. I don't know, but
it's the more you say, the more it sounds like something I would really enjoy. But I think we'd be really remiss to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, particularly.
Ian McShane played Blackbeard. Okay, yes, thank you.
Particularly the character of Captain Jack Sparrow, without pointing out that this character has become so beloved far beyond the movie simply because of Johnny Depp and how he has represented this character outside of the films themselves, whether it's going to children's hospitals in costume, in character, or showing up at the parks for no reason. He was under no obligation to do so under any contract, greeting the fans out around the actual Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And I think probably the most heartwarming was his doing a video for Captain Corey when Captain Corey, a big fan of his over in the UK, he was struggling with health problems. It was pretty terminal. I mean, his family just knew he was on borrowed time, and he just wanted to, meet Captain Jack Sparrow, and the only way it could be done was over, a video or whatnot. And they had a couple conference calls, and he sent him, some pirate themed gifts and whatnot. And
But it was so cool because he was full in character in the video.
He was full in character in the whole thing, and kind of gave justification to him. Well, in the spirit of the pirate code, it is within my authority to grant you the captaincy of your own ship as a true pirate. So I dub you, and I'm like, that's just awesome. And I mean, the kid was young, but he wasn't so young that he didn't know this is Johnny Depp playing a role and playing with me, so to speak. And it's still beautiful. It's still really, really nice. And it was because of Johnny Depp and the YouTube community and so many other YouTubers when his channel took off. It basically took off because of Johnny Depp, right? And people were subscribing. And YouTube shut down his channel because they thought this was something, not cool, going on, bots or something. And the whole community came out and said, guys, you need to look at this. This is a terminal kid, who just got his wish made, and you're going to destroy it,
Ridiculous.
And they immediately turned it around. And again, that's predominantly because of Johnny Depp getting involved. Again, not that he ever had to do any of these things. It was just because that's who he was. When we talk about people being, the movie star type that we don't see anymore, it's this reason. It's these people that use their celebrity not to preach at people, not to look down on people, not to scratch their own arses, on red carpet things, but, just doing something nice for the fans, just treating them like human beings because you yourself are a human being, and a lot of what Johnny Depp does, he does it quietly. It comes out because someone else decided, I want to tell everybody about what Johnny Depp did for me, or that I saw happen, or whatever,
Did Harrison Ford do anything like that? Not to my knowledge. I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know of anything.
Gal Gadot, I'll give her credit. She would show up at children's hospitals in the Wonder Woman outfit. She would do that.
Yeah. I mean, it better be children's hospitals, because if she showed up at adult hospitals, a lot of people would be dying from heart attacks.
Probably, yes. But it's sad Disney run movies didn't do so well, like Country Bears, Tomorrowland, 20,000.
Yeah.
Well, 20,000 Leagues, if I'm thinking back to that one, I'm thinking back to the 50s movie, which the ride was based on. Unless, were they doing something? I thought we did a story a while back that they were going to try to bring that back in a movie version, but it got canceled. That's right. They were going to do something that got canceled. You're right.
And this is another example of them sitting on a property that could make them a butt ton of money, and they're overlooking it. They need to do, if they're going to keep doing reboots and remakes and everythings, two things they need to remake. They need to remake 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they need to do, like, say, a live action of Treasure Planet. And then start a little section of their parks that's all like kind of steampunkish.
If Disney were to create like a steampunk park, that would be way to move forward. That would probably, if I were Disney, that might be the direction. What can we do that's steampunk? That could work. But it's sad. But Country Bears, that movie, I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
It had Christopher Walken in it as the guy that was going to, I guess, tear down the Country Bears music hall or something. And Richard Roper, he said at the time, says having Christopher Walken in this movie is like having a stripper at your 8-year-old's birthday party. So he said, just terrible. See, Disney, you know what the thing is? Back in the aughts, Disney would make good movies and they would make stinkers, and critics weren't afraid to say, no, this is a bad Disney movie. Nowadays, we enter the age of the shill instead of the critic, but now I guess we'll be entering the age of the anti-fan. We'll get to that later.
Right.
Sorry, I'm harping on that a bit. But classic movies. And Jesse Grotto was asking if they wonder why they didn't do a part 6. We're going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, guys, especially when it comes to Disney.
All right. So here we got Toby Keith, superstar from Honky Tonk U, dies at 62. This
Everyone
is my
raise a red Solo cup, my friends.
yeah, this is my experiment. I should probably bring my notes up, shouldn't I? Give me a second. But yeah, this is my experiment, seeing if I could post some of these will be pictures, some of these will actually be the articles I'm pulling from, but we also like to post the link as well. Give me a second. Let me bring all this up. But Toby Keith is no longer with us.
Yeah,
You might be more familiar with him than I am, but
absolutely. I mean,
now I want to become more
I'm
familiar with him
trying.
after reading this article.
I'm
Yeah.
really trying to restrain myself from breaking into song here because I don't want you to have to deal with the YouTube algorithms that
It
I
ain't
do when
like
I
I'm
sing on
getting
my
any money
stream.
right now anyway. So,
Should have been a cowboy. I should have learned to rope and ride.
see, I like that.
Yeah,
I need to look up his music. Toby Keith,
I'll tell you what. Start with "Brought to You Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue."
as depressing as this, they'll probably release a box set of his stuff soon.
Yeah.
Toby Keith, former rodeo hand, oil rigger, and semi-pro football player who became a rowdy king of country music, singing patriotic anthems, rye drinking songs, and propulsive odes to cowboy culture that collectively sold more than 40 million records, died February 5th at age 62. His death was announced on his official website. Elaine Shock, Mr. Keith's publicist, said he died in Oklahoma, but did not have additional details. Mr. Keith announced in June 2022 that he had been diagnosed with stomach cancer, adding that he'd received chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. That's rough.
Yeah, it
Cancer
is.
sucks. I have my own family members that
Right.
taken by that. Yeah. Brawny, singer-songwriter with piercing blue eyes and Oklahoma twang. Mr. Keith cultivated a persona as the big bad outlaw who hides a big soft heart, as music critic Stephen Thomas Erlewine once put it. He could be ornery, cantankerous, self-deprecating, and sensitive, recording mournful ballads about heartbreak and desire, as well as party songs about raising hell, drinking whiskey from a
Mm-hmm.
paper cup, and getting high with his friend Willie Nelson. This reminds me of a comment, and I want to say, I might have been, I'm trying to think, who stated it once. Who was the woman who was married to um, Ring of Fire singer?
Oh, you're thinking of Johnny Cash, June Carter Cash.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was June Carter. I might be misappropriating this quote, but I think she said, "Why do people like country music?" And she said, "Because it's honest."
Yeah, no, it's true. It's absolutely true. And in country music, every song tells a story.
His biggest crossover hit, Red Solo Cup, was an endearing, goofy ode to the humble plastic drinking vessel, the best receptacle for barbecues, tailgates, fairs, and festivals, which was sung in a quasi drunken mumble and reached number 15 on Billboard Hot 100. Mr. Heath also saluted the flag and the troops with hits like Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue from the Angry American album, I'm assuming, and a post 9/11 morale raiser that generated controversy over its jingoistic lyrics and Made in America 2011, a celebration of buying American-made goods and raising your children on King James and Uncle Sam. That combination of flag-waving patriotism and beer-soaked good humor helped make him one of country music's biggest stars, with 42 top 10 hits on the genre's Billboard chart, including 20 number ones. By late 2000s, he was bringing in nearly $50 million a year, aided by business ventures that included a restaurant chain, a liquor brand, a Nashville record label, and a stake in Big Machine Records, the label that signed Taylor Swift. I kept thinking I would avoid saying her name tonight, but I guess not. All right. Keith's commercial chops overlaying a wide patriotic appeal have created the most vertically integrated performer in the music business, and a one-man cash machine. Forbes magazine declared in 2013 cover story estimating his career earnings at more than $500 million. That's a big chunk of change for a country music singer. That's nuts. It was a stunning success for a singer who had gone from high school to Oklahoma oil fields and who proudly referred to himself as oil field trash. Instead of college, he attended Honky Tonk U, as he puts it, in a 2005 single, performing 51 weeks a year at beer joints, rodeos, basketball arenas, dance halls from Arizona. To Arizona. It goes on to say, though, but he proved adept at picking his battles and turning controversy to his advantage. The secret in this business, he told the Washington Post, is to make enough people hate you enough to get them to talk about you. And that was especially true in 2002 when his song Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue brought him new attention and notoriety. The single featured lyrics that referenced the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, and promised that the United States would take vengeance on its attackers. You'll be sorry that you messed with the US of A, Mr. Keith sang, because we'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way.
Yep.
As Mr. Keith told it, he had never planned to record the track, only to sing it at USO shows and other military performances. Remember USO shows? I guess.
Yes, I do.
He changed his mind with encouragement from General James L. Jones, the Marine Corps commandant, who told him that's the most amazing battle song I've ever heard in my life. Single rose to the top country chart while also prompting debate over its lyrics, notably after Mr. Keith was invited to sing at a 4th of July television special broadcast by ABC. Now I'm thinking Disney again. Okay.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
apparently dropped from the show after the host, news anchor Peter Jennings, objected to his performing Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue in full. This is like Ed Sullivan all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, but the difference is Ed Sullivan, you can kind of see. He didn't want, any
gyrating
references
hips.
to drugs. He didn't want,
Right.
what he considered to be provocative movements. Those are still things that shouldn't be on TV. But not wanting something patriotic? Yeah, you know what? I don't want your whole freaking network. You have no business calling yourself ABC.
American broadcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly
Okay.
right. And let me tell you something else. I am a huge supporter of the armed forces. I believe if you served your country, you deserve all the respect in the world. But just because you did serve in the armed forces does not give you the right to be an asshole and to look down on people who didn't serve, because people serve in different ways. That's what you're fighting for, right? And when someone dies, especially the way this man died, you don't use it as an opportunity to besmirch them because you outlasted them.
That's
Chris Christopherson, you can go rend and torture yourself anally.
There is respect for the dead. Come on.
Yeah, well, not for people who have zero class.
Ridiculous.
And I'm sorry, I say, just because you served your country does not, in and of itself, balance out being an asshole.
Yeah. But anyway, it says Mr. Keith was indicted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2015 and later received Merle Haggard's Spirit Award for Songwriting and the National Medal of Arts. He seemed to have a clear sense of what listeners liked about music and what songs fell short of their expectations, in contrast to straightforward singles like She's a Hottie, for instance. Down-tempo tunes like Love Me If You Can, which reference homelessness, Jesus, and free speech, played well on the radio but didn't sell many copies. When I do it on my show, Mr. Keith observed, it's kind of where everyone gets up to get a beer and take a leak.
Yeah.
I figured I'd end it there, but I don't know why I wanted to end it there. But yeah, Toby Keith, rest in peace.
I do remember when Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue came out. I went out and I not only bought the album, but I bought the single too. I don't know why. Normally you only buy the single if you're not planning on buying the album, but I got both.
I've bought singles. I guess I bought them. What do they call them? Extended plays? Is that what they're called?
Sure. Sometimes.
And I'll buy those. If I like a band so much I want the song, I'll buy that. But then I'll buy the album later on that has the song on it.
Yeah, you make a great point, because I did that with a lot of Prince. I just collected Prince albums.
Right.
But then sometimes you would buy the singles.
Just to get the single, yeah. And they were cheaper usually. Yeah.
Either it was a different, edit of the song.
Yes.
And or the flip side, because this was back when 45s, even cassette singles had a flip side, right? And there was sometimes unreleased songs on those flip sides, so you could only get them if you got the single. And Prince was big on that.
Yeah, and that's kind of neat though that he would put a different track on the a different version on the single than on the album, because then you get something.
Yeah,
you get both. But yeah, like I said, rest in peace, Toby Keith. Sorry you passed on, especially in kind of in a bad way. I'm sorry. It's not even like a sudden death. That I know cancer. That was painful
to the fans who didn't know.
Yeah, I know it's sad, but I didn't realize we had other celebrities firing off. Guys not even cold in the ground yet. This is ridiculous.
Exactly.
No class.
Not at all. It seems like it's the era we live in. You know,
I did want to respond to. Let me go to the next picture real quick, but I want to respond to Jesse Grotto's argument. Troy, the closest Disney ever got to a steampunk was Disney Paris Jules Verne. Do you know about that, Troy?
besides, I'm sorry, say again.
He said the only closest Disney ever got to steampunk.
I have never seen it myself, but I did see a video about the fact that and let's face it, Jules Verne, that's his
French.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bigger deal for them there, and it became a whole Jules Verne steampunk kind of area of the park.
Let me tell you, you might have seen the same video I did. It's the one that's over on a wonderful channel called Defunct Land, where it goes about old rides and attractions. It's a wonderful video, and it basically shows how Eisner royally screwed up Disneyland Paris. Like, you couldn't have wine in Disneyland Paris, even though wine's a staple of French society. Like, they weren't understanding the French. I'm sorry, you're opening up a park in their country. You need to understand the people who you're serving primarily.
There is a look. This is the biggest. This used to be one of the biggest points about Disney World, was that it had this international feel, right? You go to it's a small world and everything, and you get appreciation for, and then you can go to the different restaurants that had all the food from around the world. Yeah. You believe that you're kind of getting a little bit of a touch of those cultures. Well, if they don't have that kind of understanding when they set up parks in the other parts of the world, there's a distinct problem there.
But they said that park was rescued by the Disney Imagineers, who decided to make a ride, I think, based on from the Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon.
Right.
And when they did that ride and put that in the park and everything and everything else, the French embraced Euro Disneyland, because they said that they are, I guess, Jules Verne is a huge part of their cultural heritage, and they felt that Disney did justice to Jules Verne.
Right. You actually missed the setup for that.
Yeah.
When they first were opening Euro Disney, the French hated it, and they boycotted it. And they were going to lose a shit ton of money on it.
And it was,
And you're right. That's what ended up serving it.
It was those Imagineers that had the idea of doing an attraction based on Jules Verne. And if you read From the Earth to the Moon, Jules Verne actually has some very nice things to say about Americans in the book. He said that as a Frenchman, he always respected the American ingenuity, I guess, of the 1800s, when we were doing all these inventions and and everything, how we were kind of, and that book was written to honor Americans, actually. Jules Verne, that was like his tipping hat to America, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
So, we can all get along. We just have to do it in the right way.
Well,
it's about respect.
I've been talking about this maybe a little bit in the last call segments that we've been doing, looking at entertainment from around the world. But more often than not, whenever I'm talking about language, I talk about culture. You can't separate the two. And this concept of the ugly American, who, especially now on social media, where everyone's got an opinion about what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in the Middle East, blah, 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 this and that, taking sides, when these people clearly don't understand the history, the culture, nothing that's going on, but somehow, because you're American, we got to do things your way. And it's like, you need to humble out.
Yeah.
Learn a thing or two. Excuse me. And then maybe start formulating an opinion.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And speaking of a not ugly American, quite the opposite, the very beautiful Gina Carano is in the news this week.
I'm glad she is. Look, you never pick a fight with an MMA fighter. Just saying. This woman is a real warrior. Well, and I just felt like, is it just she's so classy she doesn't even want to go into this battle? No, she was just biding her time.
Yeah. Many of us were fans of Gina Carano even before she starred on The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And
when I saw her on The Mandalorian, I was like, oh, wow.
And The Mandalorian was really helping to propel her career even more forward. She was at that point now becoming a household name, whereas people like you and I knew of her from the from the fighting, and also because she did some great smaller films like Haywire, which Deleted Scenes had mentioned on History. He has a copy of that, the Steven Soderbergh movie, which was neat because you got to see almost a scene like if Gina Carano had gone up against James Bond, how would it have gone? Because they had Michael Fassbender playing a James Bond type in one scene.
She's obviously a skilled athlete.
Yes.
So I'm assuming she does a lot of her own stunts.
Yes.
Okay. She's very physical, very beautiful, good actress. I mean, better actress than you would expect from someone who's coming from, I mean, you look at people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and you go, okay, he's going to take a while to develop his acting chops. She
Did they ever develop? I'm sorry, I'll be kind. He was good at playing Machine Man, I'll say that. Okay.
Well, true. But there are some dramatic it depends on the role. He did a lot of comedies,
actually. He was good with
He did a lot of
comedies,
action films that didn't require a great deal of acting.
Yeah.
There's some dramatic roles though where he's very good, but they're more recent.
Sure.
Gina was a good actress right out the door, you know? But I think probably her greatest quality, and I'm going to go back to what we were saying about Johnny Depp, it's that charisma. It's just the off camera, with the fans, or when she sees the cameras on her, when she looks up and smiles, it just grabs your heart. And it's like, wow, this is a wonderful person I'd like to get to know.
Yes.
I've
always been a fan of hers, became more of a fan of her was how she was treating the fans, especially after that dismal trilogy had come out that Disney did, but then people were hyped about The Mandalorian. Even though I'd never seen The Mandalorian myself, I knew that the fans had taken to it and really had taken to her character.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, this could be the way forward, to coin a phrase. Unfortunately,
this could be the way, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, then things went to pot when she was unceremoniously not only not fired from Lucasfilm, but publicly fired and humiliated in such a way that it would destroy her career. I think she did her best to hold her head up high. She had an interview on the Daily Wire and had to explain her situation, and they sort of rescued her. And I know she was starring in some productions for Daily Wire, like Terror on the Prairie, I believe, was one of the movies she did for them. But I'm sorry, she basically got at least her Hollywood career wrecked over what I consider to be. Let's get into the article. Let's do that.
Yeah, go for it.
This will summarize it. Actor and former professional MMA fighter Gina Carano has sued the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm over claims she was wrongfully fired from the series The Mandalorian in 2021. In the suit, which was filed Tuesday in federal court in California, Carano alleges she was fired from her role as Rebel Warrior Cara Dune for voicing right-wing opinions on social media. She's seeking a court order that would require Lucasfilm to reinstate her or compensate her at least $75,000. Carano claims in the suit that she suffered emotional damage and lost millions of dollars in income. A short time ago in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated, the lawsuit says, and so it was with Carano.
That was a quote that is specifically from the complaint that was filed in court. So no one can tell you that lawyers don't have a sense of humor. It's a brilliant. I've read it.
Yeah,
I actually read it on air. Did I read it on Friday? Maybe it was on Thursday Things with Netter.
Maybe it was on Thursday Things. Yeah.
But I read the thing in its entirety, and I was like, "This is just brilliant." It's humorous, but it's serious.
Yeah. And it is. And anyway, so she's going, X has helped him cover the cost of the lawsuit. Carano confirmed Tuesday in a post on social media platform. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thank you to Elon Musk and X for giving me the opportunity to bring my case to light, she wrote. In the post, Carano denied that her past post should be seen as controversial and said her former employers targeted her as part of a bullying smear campaign that was intended to make an example of me. The truth is...
I'm dropping that a link to that post right now.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read her Twitter post. It's a well thought out letter, and it explains her situation. I think we'll have some quotes of it in here too. Really, really injustice. I remember when the news broke. I think I was on Soundtracks at Birdman's stream when that happened. And I at first couldn't believe it. I thought we were being pranked, but no, it came out that they did this. It was kind of similar to when we found out Bob Jacob was fired during one of our streams here. In fact, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Something should break now that'll make us upset.
Right. We are the news is updating on this on a regular basis. There is speculation that there's almost no way around. Kathleen Kennedy is going to be disposed. It seems unlikely that can be avoided.
Hey,
Now,
I don't
this
want her
is,
deposed. I want her on the stand.
well,
I want to find out who made that public statement, not a
that
Lucasfilm representative. That's that person has a
that
name.
is
Who was it?
definitely going to come out in Discovery. So we may also be seeing other names added to this lawsuit, including former Weinstein assistant or pimp, Leslie Headland.
Do you remember when Emilio Estevez also got let go by Disney because I think I think this was basically it. He wasn't against the vaccine, but he was against vaccine mandates, and he made
Yeah.
that clear. And then they got rid of him for the Mighty Ducks because I guess they were doing a Mighty Ducks revival, kind of how they were doing a Cobra Kai revival, like that.
Yeah.
And I think they didn't retain him after that, and I thought that was ridiculous.
Well, and here's
he's
the
not
thing.
against the vaccine; he's against the mandates. People should have a choice as to whether or not they get it. That was the whole thing.
There are
Yes.
a lot of people, not just in the entertainment industry, that I know who lost their jobs because they either refused to get the jab or they spoke out against the mandates.
Yes.
And they are winning those cases.
Yeah.
They are winning those cases, and a lot of companies are getting hit hard. Just to share my own story, most of you guys know in my day job, I work from home. I'm a contractor. I don't come in contact with anyone.
You're not in an office or anything. Yeah.
Exactly. And my company said to me, well, the company you're contracted with is saying you got to go in and get this. I said, and I sent them a letter that I got from an attorney that basically said, I don't think you want to do that, and lays out all the legal reasons why it's not a good idea for them to go about this. Doesn't say it, but it strongly implies, I will sue you over this and I will win. And they just dropped it. They never brought it up again.
I have a suspicion we're going to be hearing a lot more about lawsuits.
So those that didn't drop it, all these lawsuits are coming back. I should put together a list. Maybe I'll do a stream about that one day, but that's beside the point. So I would love to see Emilio Estevez do this in a very loud and
I think he needs
way.
to look into this, too, because this is just ridiculous.
And maybe Elon will help him out with it too.
You never know. Maybe you will. Yeah. So, but anyway, she goes on to say, though, the truth is I was hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the accepted narrative of the time. Carano wrote, my words were consistently twisted and demonized and dehumanized me as an alt-right wing extremist. No, and I'm going to tell you another thing, too. You know what it is, too? This is an actress, your female star, your female character who was very popular with men. You know, they always complain, oh, the fanboys, they hate strong women characters. They love this character and they love this actress playing her.
They sure did.
This has nothing to do with that. And this was about tearing her down because I guess she didn't fit the mold because, I mean, she basically breaks the mold. Everything they say, everything the other side says, men don't like women that work out or are too muscly. Then they like her. So this is a bunch of nonsense. This is all lies.
I'll tell you something. I don't know if
she's very fit. I mean, she's not fit, but she's not fit in an unattractive way.
Exactly. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of you here, but one of the things she's bringing up is sexual discrimination, and it's because she was treated one way for her opinions and posts, and male actors that were, far more direct and boisterous and worse than she was, were not even reprimanded.
I believe her.
And while she has not spoken of anyone by name, which she probably can't just because of the case, but we brought it up at the time. What about Pedro Pascal? It's okay to go after her, but you don't say anything to him? Really?
It's ridiculous.
What about Mark Hamill? He is constantly saying crap online that's inflammatory and really heinous. No problem with him, apparently.
her comments I felt were rather innocuous. They weren't even necessarily stating anything that was they were just, her words were just being twisted. That's
And
what I
many of
believe.
them are demonstrably true.
Yes.
You can, everything she said in that, specifically that one, has come to pass. It absolutely is demonstrable, real time.
Yeah. When's the investors meeting with Iger, where people get to talk to him?
In April.
Oh, can't come soon enough.
I know, right?
Following a short but successful career in mixed martial arts, Karina had been a rising star in television and movies when controversy began to swirl in February 2020 when she posted Instagrams to likening modern political divides to the Holocaust. She was then published a post that appeared to mock people who wore masks during the pandemic. I don't know if any of that's accurate, but we'll see. And the Instagram post was to the app story function, which disappeared after 24 hours. Carano's social media postings had previously sparked some scrutiny. In 2020, she appeared to suggest that there was voter fraud during the presidential election in Post-X.
Which we now know to be true.
Yes, well, it was in Time Magazine. Time
Magazine talking about
they laid out how they did it. What they laid out could be very susceptible to fraud. But anyway, I don't feel like getting into that here. But it is what... You know what? I want to get out of this decade. I really do. It's only the 2020s will never be as cool as the Roaring 20s. That's what I'm learning.
Well, that's for sure. That's
the Roaring 20s. People partied, right? You had jazz music, right, and speakeasies, and St. Valentine's Day massacres. Never mind.
I would not be so quick to want to get out of this decade because I'm really concerned about where we're heading. We could find ourselves in an even worse socialist dystopia.
I don't even want to think. About it. Anyway, Gene Shar, Carano's attorney, said in a statement that Disney bullied Miss Carano, trying to conform to their views about cultural and political issues. And when that bullying failed, they fired her. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Representatives from Mux, Disney, and Lucasfilm did not immediately respond to requests for comments. Carano and her manager did not immediately respond to requests for comment. At the time of firing, Lucasfilm released a statement denouncing her comments. And yeah, this was the comment originally. I remember when we talked about this. This was, Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm. There are no plans for her in the future, a spokesperson said in her statement. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. This was a career assassination. That's what
it was.
This is not, we're just choosing not to work with Gina Carano anymore. No reasons. They didn't even have to even make that a public statement. Carano also claims that Disney and Lucasfilm discriminated against their lawsuit, cites social media posts from the late actor Carl Weathers saying male colleagues were not held to similar standards. Well, good on Carl Weathers for supporting her.
Yep.
Sorry you're no longer with us again. Even though the force's female defendants chose to target a woman while looking the other way when it came to men, Carano was fired. You had mentioned this earlier.
Yep.
Yeah. And X's head of business operation Joe Menarock said in a statement, Hollywood Reporter, which was the first report news, as a sign of X Corporate's commitment to free speech, we're proud to provide financial support for Gina Carano's lawsuit, empowering her to seek vindication of her free speech rights on X and the ability to work without bullying, harassment, or discrimination. Well, let's be honest with you here. X and Elon Musk are not real big fans of Disney, too, after that little spat with Bob Iger a couple months ago.
Absolutely true. Also, another element that's not going to come up in this article, but this case was filed in California, which is a little bit of a gamble, right? Very left-wing, very, probably anti, alt-right as they see her. Right. But their laws are very conducive to this kind of case. They have a very low bar for proving that you were discriminated against on a number of items, including sex and political affiliation. So, look, you set the laws. We're going to hold you to them.
Yeah, do it. I mean, they're going by the law, right? So that's all they can do. I hope she wins big.
But I've also told people, regardless of how it actually goes as far as win or lose on the case, she wins. She's won one battle already. The fact that this is in the news and we're talking about it and everybody's talking about it, that's a huge win. Secondly, this is going to go to Discovery. There's no way it doesn't go to Discovery. And all kinds of stuff that we've been wanting to know
Yeah.
about, that we've been
Yes.
speculating about for years, and we've talked about here on this stream, is gonna come out. That is
Now,
a huge win for her, and that is a huge win for the fans.
my suspicion too is part of the reason she was let go and fired publicly was that Favreau was trying to set up this Star Wars television universe, which was proving more popular than that sequel trilogy, and that this was to help derail that.
Yep.
That's
And
a
here's the
theory I
other
have.
thing.
It's just a theory. I have no proof, though, but that's a suspicion I've had. Yes.
Again, you're right. We don't know details of contracting.
Yeah.
But if she had already signed some sort of an agreement about the proposed Rangers of the New Republic, and that fell through because of this,
Yes.
she's going to be able to hold them to whatever they offered her.
For payment. Good. No, I want Disney raked over the coals for this.
Now, that would be the funny thing. The funny thing would be they end up having to pay out to her everything they owed her without her having to do anything. Yeah. Right? She's going to get punitive Well, I'm saying best case scenario, she'll get punitive damages. She'll get back pay, for the projects that she was meant to work on. Maybe she has said she wants to be included in this upcoming Mandalorian project. I don't know how serious she is about that, but I understand the legal, maneuvering to say that that's what you're after. Maybe they give her a payout related to it without her actually appearing in it. But it's entirely possible that, shoot for the moon here. They decide, you know what? If we got to pay her anyway, let's just make this damn Rangers of the New Republic.
Yes.
And since this is going to go on for a little bit, and they're not even due to start filming that Mandalorian film until the summer, which I think is really pushing it. And you may be hearing this first, folks. That little work stoppage that they had last year in Hollywood, watch for another one to come up after August 1st.
Oh, give me a break. Who's striking now?
We'll talk about it more when I can share some sources with you.
When you get more concrete stuff.
But the directors and there's some other what do you call it, unions, including the ones tied to the Teamsters.
That's another.
So that's going to be coming up this August. I don't see any way that this doesn't become a strike. I mean, they're going to start. No. They're going to be starting like real soon to be negotiating. But if they don't have something in place by August 1st, there's going to be another strike. And so guess what is going to end up getting delayed? All the summer projects that were just announced, including the Mandalorian film, the Rey film, everything else Disney was planning to rush to get done. So watch for those to get extended out, giving Gina more time to get her case moving along. And who knows, by that point, this is going to be after April. Who knows, maybe Nelson Peltz is in charge then. And then maybe all kinds of things turn around. This is just pie in the sky maybes, folks. I don't want anybody getting their hopes up because we've been there before.
Yeah.
Just saying, these are possible outcomes.
But yeah, this was the story of the week, and hopefully we will be keeping you We'll let you know when we get more information on this. Welcome, Gorillas.
Gorillas random thoughts. Yeah.
Salute.
Salute.
Salute. Okay. And just throw up a random image. You want to post the next one?
Just throw up a random image. Yeah.
Disney Fortnite. Okay, I found two. The one had like Mickey Mouse holding a machine gun, and apparently that was an official thing. I'm like, I don't know if I'll just.
There have been a lot of people talking about this. This is just great. Disney going around gunning people down. It's like, okay.
The reason I bring this up, I think, did we do this story a couple months ago when there was a rumor going around that Disney needed to buy a game studio?
Yes.
And like Iger was under pressure to do so. And I kept thinking, first you and I said they don't have the money to do this. Yeah. And I think the other thing is that I also don't understand because Disney used to have Disney Interactive, which was their own studio game division, which they sort of basically shut down.
Not
So,
only did they have
yeah.
Disney Interactive, but
They had
they acquired
Lucasfilm.
LucasArts.
Yeah, LucasArts. The Walt Disney Company announced Wednesday that it would invest $1.5 billion to acquire an equity stake in video game maker Epic Games. So equity stake means that we have enough stake in this company that we can help make decisions about what gets done. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. The company said it would create a new persistent universe with Epic Games Fortnite to integrate the company's franchise within the game monolith. Now, Fortnite, I believe, this is where the boomer gamer comes in the phrase. I don't play this game, but I believe it is called a battle royale game, which is mainly an online only game that you can play on whatever system or PC you have. Like, I think you can probably play it on Switch or PlayStation or PC or whatever you have, Xbox. Okay.
Yeah, it's like an MMORPG, except it's 100% player versus player combat.
Right. I did play Fall Guys once. That was kind of fun. That was another one of these that was an only online game. But
there's one that Netter doesn't play, but I know she's a fan of. Oh gosh, I don't remember the name of it, but it has to do with blue zones and stuff like that. What's the name of that? PUBG. Yeah.
PUBG.
Like
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard that one. Anyway, let me get back into this. Our relationship with Epic Games will create transformative games and entertainment universe that integrates Disney's world-class storytelling and Epic's cultural phenomenon, Disney CEO Bob Iger said in the company's first quarter earnings call. That rumor was correct. Let's be honest. That was a correct rumor, because this is exactly, sounds like this is what happened. This marks Disney's biggest entry.
Let me ask you, who is that character to the left of Mickey Mouse in that picture?
I have no idea if that's a Fortnite character. It looks like an evil queen.
Yeah.
But I don't know who that is, because I don't play Fortnite, unless that's a Disney character. But was this like a villain in Frozen 2 or something? I don't know who that is. I just don't. I'm out of it. This is what happens after a while. You don't know I don't know much about Fortnite. I kept thinking the guy in the middle is Star-Lord, but I could be wrong. Okay.
Jesse is saying Disney already had their version of Fortnite, and it tanked a long time ago. Well, now they're going to have an opportunity to tank this one too.
Oh my goodness. Our new relationship with Epic Games will... Okay, this is all a bunch of nonsense. The investment was announced in the same earnings call that saw Disney announce that it won streaming rights to Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour concert film. Second time I've mentioned her name on the stream, not intentional. It also came on the heels of a blockbuster agreement announced Tuesday between Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery for a joint sports streaming platform. Fortnite has collaborated with Disney, others before. Disney has previously worked with Epic Games to create Fortnite character skins from Disney properties, including Marvel, Star Wars, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. Epic Games partnered with Lego to create crafting mode with Fortnite. So that basically Fortnite just works with a ton of different companies. That's what I figured out from this. The company's also worked with Harmonix, the developers behind Rock Band, to add a musical mode called Fortnite Festival. We're collaborating on something entirely new to build a persistent, open, and interoperable ecosystem that will bring together the Disney and Fortnite communities, Tim Sweeney, CEO and founder of Epic Games, said in a press release. This sounds like Mark Zuckerberg when he's talking about the metaverse, but what do I know? Maybe the kids will love this. It's just not my cup of tea. So what do we think, though? Will this be a home run for Disney, or is this a mistake?
I think it's ridiculous. You asked where the money was coming from. This is all from their tax write-downs and their liquidation of, or not liquidation, but their downsizing of different departments and stuff. That's where this money is coming from. And instead of putting it into, projects that are going to make them money, they're putting it into something that is, first off, as we just pointed out, something that shouldn't be necessary because of bad business decisions in the past where they got rid of, services that were comparable. Now they're reacquiring something and they're going to devalue it just like every other property that they've acquired. Looking at Marvel, looking at Lucasfilm, etc.
Madeline makes a point. Practically every character has a skin in Fortnite. Do you think if Disney owns a big stake in this company, they're going to prioritize their own characters over, like, let's say, Batman? Batman's in Fortnite. Maybe they'll get rid of him.
Oh, absolutely.
For a Marvel character. So, yeah, you'll get less choice probably.
they're going to turn it into loot crates where you can buy a Mickey Mouse, you can buy a Star-Lord, you can buy a whatever, if that's what you want to look like.
Fortnite used to be a zombie game. Oh, that's interesting. It sounds like a
that,
title of a
that
zombie
actually
game.
sounds like it would have been fun. I kind of wish that I could have played it then.
I wonder if it was like Left 4 Dead. That was a multiplayer. That was a first-person shooter that was based on cooperative gameplay between 4 players, and you would try to survive zombie hordes with 3 other people online. But
or like that Dead Till Daylight now is
kind of, yeah. I think it was something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I never.
So
yeah.
I know you don't want to talk about her, but she is in the news and relevant, particularly to this.
Okay.
When is Taylor Swift's Eras Tour appearing on Disney Plus? Do you know?
No, I don't.
March 15th. That is
Okay.
1 month before, or maybe it's just a couple weeks before the what do you call it? The stock meeting. So they're going to be able to say, look at all the money we got for all these people this past month that signed up because
For Disney Plus just to watch the Eras Tour.
Right. To
Can't
try and convince people that they're doing better than they are, so that because in April, by the time people have canceled their subscription, the meeting's over already.
The earnings call.
No, the earnings call was this past week. This is the stockholders meeting. So yeah, they're trying to pull a fast one here, and at this point, we're kind of hoping that the investors are starting to pay attention already.
I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know anymore. I mean, the trouble is Disney is so big; it owns so much stuff that they can point to something else they have that might be doing better than, like, I guess the latest season.
Wait a minute. Jesse says Fortnite is Terminator, Aliens, Predator.
Well, they own those 3.
Transformers. I was just going to say they
don't own Terminator, but they own Alien and Predator. They own those. Yeah.
Transformers, anime, Star Wars, DC, and Marvel. Yeah. So they own most of those things already. Now, Fortnite is licensing those from Disney. Obviously, Disney would not have to pay license fees to themselves for the ones they own. And the question is, will they continue to pay a license fee to Warner Brothers, for example? No, probably not. So, you may lose your Batman outfit in Fortnite.
They'll give you Moon Knight instead. Actually, I don't even know what the Marvel equivalent to Batman is. I don't know if there is one, but anyway.
There was a character named Nighthawk that was a Batman analog.
I see. All right. Next story. By the way, look at this lovely picture that I created with AI. And yes, I did say the AI thing under Canva. I was trying to look for black female pirate, and it kept giving me trouble. So, and then it kept yelling at me saying, some of these images are inappropriate, and they're not going. You know what? I'll just use the one you created that looked pretty good. So there we go. You like that, huh? And AI made that. And I feel like I made it because my AI search did it for me. Like, it's one of a kind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was toying around AI creation. If you go on my channel, you'll see a thumbnail for my. I did a clip of last week's to talk about the Universal new Epic Universe, and I typed in Frankenstein theme park, and I got a few images, and I picked that one to use. But I don't know. I don't know if these AI image thumbnails are good or not, but I'm gonna mess around with them for a bit and see. Okay. But you want to post the link to the?
I am trying to get the link up. This is another
one of those horrible things.
Long. Yeah.
Johnny Depp replaced by Ayo Edebiri in Pirates of the Caribbean 6? ? Outrage fans boycott. Now this is a rumor. We don't know. I still don't care for
the whole part about boycotting is a rumor because it's not something that's happened yet, so you can't really say it has happened.
If AI can create a real life version of that picture, I'd be okay with it. But anyway, no, I'm sorry. So let's see here. Works for me. That's funny. Okay, so let me go ahead and read this. This is the latest rumors of Pirates of the Caribbean 6. We talked about this. We've been talking about, I think, that on this channel maybe since we started this channel, or I started the stream, because I remember there was rumors going around that it was going to be, first it was going to be Karen Gillian as the lead female pirate. Then Margot Robbie's name was being tossed around. Now we have more news, or rumors, I should say. Looks like Captain Jack Sparrow may not be back in action. As per reports, the superstar is being dropped from the 6th installment of the iconic Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. The entertainment giant is considering actress Ayo Edebiri as a replacement for Depp. Her character is allegedly named Anne. The role is based on the life of Anne Bonny, a 17th century female pirate. That might explain why Karen Gillian might have been considered, because she has red hair, right?
Yep.
I believe that's, now this is a mythic. I mean, I don't know how much there's fact and fiction with this pirate. I did some research on him for the stream. Disney is reportedly considering Ayo Edebiri for the leading role in Pirate 6, a film that would feature a younger cast of pirates in search of hidden treasure, wrote Unlimited L's and X news handle. Jack Sparrow fans are heartbroken. The news didn't go down well with Pirates of the Caribbean fans. Retweeting the post, Tesla boss Elon Musk wrote, "Disney sucks."
Yeah.
Which is funny considering the fact that he and Depp have had their own feuds in the past. But an ardent Depp fan commented, "I can't wait to see Disney bankrupt."
Yeah.
No one will watch this without Depp. When are they going to learn? Ranted another Depp admirer. Disney has become so conceited they think, oh, they can literally replace what makes their films so lovable and still turn a profit. I hope they double down and keep doing this so someone competent like Elon Musk can take it over. Yikes. Oh, that'd be funny if he can buy Disney someday. I didn't even think about that.
Well, there's a lot of speculation. No one knows for sure, but he may have already bought a bunch of stock and given it to Nelson Peltz's Treon Group to manage for him.
Now, some fans felt that Bonnie was a pale-skinned, red-haired Irish woman in casting Edebiri, who was a Nigerian extract, as a casting gaffe. Some called out Disney for blackwashing, casting black people and historic characters that are Caucasian. Now, to be fair, this may be a character. If this is a character inspired by this real-life pirate, it isn't the real-life pirate that they're basing. They would probably give her a different name. So,
right.
So it would be a fictional character.
Assuming they named her Anne as a nod to the historical figure, but it's not specifically Anne Bonny, then who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
But I'll be honest with you, even further than that, who cares? Nobody's going to watch this damn movie.
I am going to say this too, and I have nothing against this actress. I haven't seen her, but she's not exactly a known name.
Right.
And I don't know why Disney keeps doing this. Like, I remember when they were tossing on Margot Robbie, how I kind of raised an eyebrow at that, but whether you or I liked the Barbie movie, I mean, the Barbie did help Margot Robbie's career a lot, so I could now see her being a lead in a movie like this and bringing in ticket sales. But that's not who they've cast.
I am not a big one for names. I've always said this, and I said this about Superman and so many other characters. You don't need the big name; you need the right actor. And look at, like I said, Christopher Reeve. Who was he before he played Superman? But he was Superman, and he was amazing. And he is fondly remembered to this day. You need to find actors like that.
I think when you have a new property, I mean, here's what I'm going to say about Pirates of the Caribbean. I think the reason why Johnny Depp helped that series a lot is people just knew of it as a theme park ride, and you're trying to build the series based on a theme park ride. But if you cast a big star like Johnny Depp, that's going to drag people into the theaters.
You make a good point there. Yeah.
And maybe now they feel it's big enough they don't need a big star in the main role.
Well,
but I think they're going to bite them on the ass, especially
based on what you just said. I'd almost have to now completely reverse my opinion and say, you know what? This is a situation where you're getting rid of a big actor. You better replace him with a big actor, or people are not going to show up. This is going to be like the direct to DVD, Disney sequels of the 80s and 90s.
I hate to say this. I didn't see that Aladdin movie with Will Smith and as the genie, but when I saw clips with it, I'm like, this seems like something that would have. Some of the scenes in it looked like something that was made for the Disney Channel.
Yeah,
that was like something they shot on the Disney backlot in, Orlando or LA, not something that was made in the Middle East, but maybe I could be wrong. Pirates Without Depp is nothing short of Cutthroat Island, and that tanked. Oh, Cutthroat Island. I think I wanted to like that movie because even before Pirates of the Caribbean came out, I was like, we need a pirate series. Why aren't there pirate movies? And then that came out, and it should have worked. You had Gina Davis, and who was the other guy in it?
No idea. I know I saw it. I just don't remember it.
Was it Matthew Modine? Maybe he was the other pirate. I don't know. And you had Frank Langella was the villain. I remember that. But it was a big bomb. It was done by Rennie Harlan, who did movies like Cliffhanger. I almost forgot let me see, cast for the character, not the name. Well, I agree, but this is a made up character. That's my point. Like, like if this was a movie about Blackbeard, you could go with someone unknown because people know the name Blackbeard, and you didn't even have to have Ian McShane in that. Of course, I don't know how big Ian McShane was at that point anyway, but you could cast anyone as Blackbeard. But if it's an unknown pirate, you need like Captain Jack Sparrow was not a known quantity when he was introduced. So I don't know. It was Matthew Modine. Thank you. I thought I was right. All right. Super Bowl update, tied at 19, overtime. You enjoy deleted scenes. Actually, no offense to y'all watching the Super Bowl. People, I know what it's like having people walk into your fandoms and ruin it. I'm not going to ruin football for you if you're a football fan. You enjoy.
How many baskets have been scored?
Oh my goodness, it's touchdowns. I know you know that.
Home runs? Oh, okay.
I tried getting into hockey. That was my one sport I tried getting into, but even that didn't take. I used to watch professional wrestling, but that's more like theater and circus.
Yeah, it is
like a sport, but that was always enjoyable. I'll have to talk about the good old days of the Attitude Era of the WWF. Oh man. That was the most politically incorrect thing on television at the time. All right, we moving on. This is the more serious story.
Yeah, it is.
Which maybe I shouldn't have posted the comic next to it, but that's Wonder Man. Do any of you know who Wonder Man is? It's a comic book by Marvel, right? Is that correct? You were mentioning that?
It is.
And if you look to the left, though, apparently there's been an accident on the set. Over 150,000 raised for family of crew member who died on Marvel Studios' Wonder Man set. Is this intended to be a television series? Like a Disney Plus
series? This is going to be one of their streaming shows. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So a GoFundMe campaign has already raised more than $150,000 for the family of Juan, quote unquote, Spite Osorio, the crew member on Marvel's Wonder Man series who died Tuesday after falling from a catwalk at Radford Studios. On February 6, 2024, our friend Spike lost his life on the set of the Marvel's Wonder Man shoot at CBS Radford Studios due to a potential structural failure, reads the fundraise started by Bill Martell. We are hoping the production company of the facility, MBS Marvel Studios, handles things properly, but expects a long road fraught with attorney fees and expenses. In the meantime, bills will be mounting, and the widow boom operator, Joanne W., will be left to deal with everything. That's awful. Oh, no.
This ties directly into what I was mentioning earlier. IATSE is going to be part of that strike that is almost certain to happen August 1st.
Oh my! Help if you're able. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, several of the contributors are fellow IATSE members who wrote messages like in solidarity, and we take care of our own.
And what I'm about to say is in no way intended to influence you to not support if you have a heart to do so.
Right.
This person and his family, by all means, deserve your support. What bothers me is that this should have to happen. Why isn't Disney taking care of this? Why isn't the union? Well, I think the union is going to use this later in the year as leverage against Disney, and rightly so.
But it sounds like, I'm sorry, and I don't know the full details. Maybe we'll learn them, but is there a possibility that maybe something on the set wasn't secured, and maybe there's negligence on the part of Disney?
I can't speak to any of the details.
I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. But
all I can do is point out that we are talking about the same Disney company who has half of their parks closed down because they're freaking falling apart. So I don't know what's going on in the sets of their movies and TV shows.
There have been problems in the parks. Like people were pointing out things in the parks where, like, the way they design things, they could potentially kill customers in the park. I forgot what it was. Someone was pointing something out. That was Bob Chapek behind that stuff because he was very cheap with the parks. That there was
The
structural stuff in there.
The lawsuits are mounting, and this is going to be death by a million paper cuts for Disney. This is how Disney dies. And it's just going to be continuous lawsuits between this and Gina and other people in the parks injured or, whatever. Yeah, Disney's really falling apart. I can only hope that the stockholders take strong, decisive action in April. That's all I can say. But the other thing I want to point out is you did put up a famous cover of Wonder Man. This is a more recent one. He's a much older
from the
character.
90s. Yeah, this is one from the 90s.
He goes back to the 60s, I think.
Yeah.
But in a different costume, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what Wonder Man looks like. Not in the show. Can you guess how he looks different in the show?
They race swapped him.
Yep. Yes, they did.
I saw on the thumbnail earlier. Yeah,
Now, if it wasn't for the fact that, this is a rather unknown character, I mean, yeah, it's a lot easier to do that with somebody that doesn't have a huge fan base. You can't really do that with Captain America. Well, I guess they did do it with Captain America too, didn't they? Never mind. This is Disney.
What's funny, like I know when they cast what is it, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, but that's because they were casting Samuel L. Jackson. They wanted a name in that part,
and I
didn't feel like
they actually put in the effort in advance by what they did with and this was one of the things I said about the early Marvel U. Even before they started making any movies, they kind of tested the waters with the Ultimates line, and in that they in quotes cast Samuel L. Jackson, and it was already and it was just like everything. This is an alternate history, a different timeline. We're rebooting all the characters and simplifying their stories, and some of it worked, some of it didn't. Nick Fury was a well-liked character in the Ultimates. People thought it was cool that it was Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson saw it and said, look, you used my image here, and I could probably sue you for this. But, if you are ever to make a movie about this, I want to be in that movie, and then I won't sue you. So you got it. And that's basically the story. Now, I don't know how true it is, but he said it, and the fans had speculated that was the case anyway.
Well, that's
so
funny.
I'd be surprised if it's not true. But yeah, I think of all the race swaps, that was probably the best one ever. And an intelligent way to do it. This is just another lazy tokenization.
I know they're trying to get their DEI money. That's what it is. Their ESG.
Well, that's all the money they're going to get. So they might as well.
So what did I want to mention?
Plus, they're going to be losing money on this lawsuit. So it's going to be a net loss for this whole series now.
That reminds me, there was a Japanese manga called Afro Samurai, right? And I don't know if the story about this is true, but they say that Samuel L. Jackson walked through an office one time and maybe he saw like someone mess around that they might be doing an animated show based on Afro Samurai, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be in that." That's what he said, and he ended up doing at least one of the voices in that series for the English dub of it. It was kind of funny. He even talked to the Japanese author who got all excited when he got to meet Samuel L. Jackson. But it was weird because it takes place in like this weird post-apocalyptic future, and of course you have this this black samurai. He has an afro. That's why he's called Afro Samurai. But
yeah,
it's very weird because it's like cyborgs and stuff. But there's also like the samurai code mixed in, and it's interesting. It's an interesting little series there. But oh no. No,
you don't have to read the heading. You don't have to read the
heading. Yeah, Troy had celebrity, and it's the blunt C, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
See you next Tuesday. I'm
usually,
trying to bring it up. Hold on.
It's fine. Take your time. Usually, studio doesn't own studio space off their main lots. If Disney owns anything Radford Studios, things will get interesting. We'll find
Yeah, I
out.
said
We'll
I
keep
don't
you
know the
posted.
details, but someone's going to get sued.
Right.
And you
So
know
he
that
did play.
Disney's, huh?
Oh, I'm just saying Samuel Jackson played two characters in that anime. That makes sense. He probably played the voice of Afro, and then he played the voice of this weird ghost character that follows him around. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that when you sue everybody who's associated with it. So you're going to sue whoever owns the property. You're going to sue the company you were working for. You're going to name everybody. So, yeah.
Oh, deleted scene says, "Have Adam." I have a suspicion you either talked about this on your stream or we're thinking about doing this for George R. Martin. The age of the anti-fan. Let's talk about this
Go
now.
for it.
I'm not an anti-George R. Martin fan. I mean, despite the fact he hasn't finished those final books in the series, I'm not even blaming him for necessarily what happened with Game of Thrones. I think that was
No, of course not.
Dumb and Dumberer, and he actually he helped with the English localization of Elden Ring, and I think did a good job. And I wish we had that level of writing with most of our localizations. But now we have to go after George R. Martin because he's saying stupid shit. Okay, George R. Martin has no time for toxic fandoms. The Game of Thrones franchise creator published a blog post titled Dark Days that included a banner reading, "Current mood depressed." Martin reflected on the past year as he ushered in 2024. You know what? It's been depressing for a lot of people in this country that have a lot more things to worry about than little
who have a lot less
people.
money
Yes.
than you do, fat man.
This is ridiculous. I was sleeping on a moldy cot for half the year. Not that I want anyone to feel sorry for me, but I'm saying people have their own problems. Troy's had his problems in recent years, especially at the beginning of that pandemic. This is ridiculous. This year, though, as I reflected on the year we had just lived through, I found I had no appetite for living through any of that again. Martin said 2023
Well, he's got an appetite for a whole lot else.
All right, now let's not make it personal. I know it's hard because you're seeing his picture there. Okay. Martin said 2023 was a nightmare of a year for the world and the nation, and for me and mine, both professionally and personally. I am very glad that it is over. Unfortunately, so far, 2024 looks to be even worse. So I don't know what he's talking about here. He continued. Now let's get into what he's talking about. He continued, "Well, I take solace where I can in chocolate thrones, if nowhere else." What's a chocolate throne?
I think he's making a reference to liking chocolate and Game of Thrones, combining things like that.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay. I thought he made it. Maybe he ordered a throne made out of chocolate and ate it. But anyway, in books and films, in television shows, though, even their toxicity is growing. It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films, having spirited debates with fans who saw things different. But somehow in this age of social media, it is no longer enough to say, I did not like book X or film Y, and here's why. Now social media is ruled by anti-fans who would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love and delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped.
Now, hold up right there. No, it's not that. We want to talk about the things we love, but nobody's making stuff we love anymore. It's all shit. Or like this fat ass who isn't doing anything at all. Nothing to like or to hate.
Maybe if he'd gotten those books done, we would have gotten a better ending to the series.
But again, you know what, fat man? Put down the chocolate. Chocolate is for authors. You're not an author anymore.
At any rate, I would also argue with Game of Thrones. Look, it was as much about the journey as it was the destination. The destination fell flat for many, but I still don't think the series is a waste of time.
He is projecting the ill will that the fans have towards HBO and the two dingbats that were showrunners.
It wasn't HBO's fault. That was not HBO's fault because HBO would have loved the show to have kept continuing. I think the actors didn't mind continuing either on the show. Plus, if you were an actor and don't want to be on the show, they could probably either recast you or just bump off your character, right?
Yeah, it really does fall on the shoulders.
But the actors seemed to like doing it, so it wasn't even an issue with that.
Nobody was looking to leave the show. Nobody, it was the two showrunners that wanted out because they wanted some of that sweet, sweet Lucasfilm dollars, and that worked out really well for them, didn't it? And so they tanked. They put the series into high gear, and you can see the successive seasons getting worse and worse and worse as they were putting the gas down harder and harder and flying it off a friggin' cliff a la Thelma and Louise.
My thing is, it was really the final season that had the problems. The final half of the final season.
Yeah,
They did that
but
stupid split crap.
you can't ignore that the cracks were starting well before.
There were cracks, but there was still good enough stuff, even in the seasons with the cracks.
But here's
that
the
it was
other
still
thing.
Good, yeah.
I said this at the time. I said, yeah, I understand they were working from George's outline, but it's like they filmed the fucking outline without filling in the story in between. It's just fucking bullet points without any connective tissue.
We don't even know what the outline is, though. That's part of the problem, because these books never got finished for the book. Because I even said at one point I'll read the Game of Thrones books, but I want it to all be done.
Yeah,
That way
David,
I
I
can
know
go
I'm
from
real
start to
shy and
finish.
introverted, and I don't really, let people know what I'm thinking. But no, and that's just it. And so if you come back to me and go, well, I have a problem with Daenerys becoming, an insane, crazy killer and murdering everyone, blah, 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 I'm going to say, no, I can see how that could be the outcome of this story. There's plenty of foreshadowing of it going all the way back to the first book. But it's like at some point they just skipped over the character development and went, boom, there she is. I mean, it would be like, if you went from what do you call that movie? The first prequel movie, the Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah.
And then you jumped right into the final battle with
Yes.
Anakin and Obi-Wan, and he becomes Darth Vader. It's like, hey, how did he become Darth Vader? Well, when did this happen?
No offense, but I mean, I'll admit, I'll give Lucas some credit. There are hints that he's going bad in those movies too. You know what? I'm sorry not to bring up Smallville, and I know Smallville had its own issues. We've talked about them, but I thought they handled Lex Luthor perfectly.
That is a perfect example.
Steadily, season over season, how he got steadily worse and moved steadily to the dark side. Didn't happen right away.
It actually had a progression from someone that you really, really liked, right? To I understand why he's feeling this way. To wow, this is getting bad. Oh God, no.
Remember the first time he killed someone in an episode? It wasn't even. This was before he got rid of Lionel. This was he killed someone because I think someone was going to blackmail Lon or something. And you think, well, that seems like a justified murder, but Superman wouldn't murder somebody.
Exactly.
And that was the first time you saw the cracks starting to.
And this is where you don't you just don't become a villain, and that's kind of what they did with Daenerys. It's like you missed a lot of steps in between. The thing with Arya, right? Arya had great character development for a long time, and then they just jumped to, I'm going to just take out the big bad. And that's the other thing. This big bad, who we haven't had any development for, who there's been no story, backstory, development. Why
they showed you a little bit of it, but yeah, I had wished. I thought that when the Night King finally came across, that we were going to see at least a season or two.
You don't go
of them just dealing with him
6 seasons or whatever it is. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Winter is here. It's gone. Bye. That's how it was.
I know.
So this is but there is still some blame to be put on Martin's shoulders, because he did not ever finish these books.
So, getting back to the article, though, Martin previously spoke how New York Times and fan backlash against Game of Thrones TV series finale. This wasn't the anti-fans. This was regular people, Martin. This wasn't this cadre of trolls like you and I. I've not even talked about Game of Thrones that much on my own.
This is the problem that these kinds of people have. He's sitting there on his chocolate throne or whatever, full of bonbons or whatever, right? Not worried about where his next meal is, right? Because we fans bought his books, bought the DVDs, bought the
merchandise,
t-shirts,
all sorts of games,
all the merchandise and stuff, right? And then he's got the gall to come back and bitch about it. I kind of feel like Jack Nicholson. You weep for Santiago, and you condemn me, while you sleep under the banner of protection I provide. It's like, you need to be a little bit grateful, asshole.
I don't understand what D&D were thinking. They could have just...
Yeah.
They could even have this violent finale, but they could have had Daenerys take over the throne and then everyone being uneasy about it, end the series that way. Then if you want to bring back Game of Thrones in 10, 15 years, you can bring the cast back, and it takes place off of off of where it left off instead of having to wrap everything up with a nice little bow. I don't like shows that wrap everything else up with a nice little bow. Fringe did it all right though. But like Sopranos had an open-ended ending.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
There was also the fact that, and this is another thing you got to put on the showrunners and HBO to a certain degree, there was oftentimes very long gaps in between seasons. And this is the kind of thing where, you know what? We are going to be filming constantly until this thing is done. We take a break, we have holidays and stuff like that, but this is going to be a long-term thing, and we're going to bust them out at regular intervals. They did not do that.
Well, no. Game of Thrones was a yearly season series until it got to those last couple. That was the problem. You had like last final season was season 7, part 1, and people are like, great, part 2 next year. Nope, take another, and that pissed us off because you had to wait longer to get to the finale too.
True.
And it was just, I mean, some series.
And the longer you wait, the better the payoff better be. And it wasn't there.
This was around the time actually HBO started doing this, like with Westworld. It's like, okay, when we get in season 2, and it's taken forever.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? You get everyone excited. Like, I love Tokyo Vice. I think we're finally getting a second season of that. And it's like, you're losing momentum. Seasons should be yearly. We pick on the BBC in England, but they release stuff on a yearly basis too.
Yeah,
the seasons are shorter, but they at least get this stuff out on a yearly basis. I don't know what's going on there with some of these cable channels. Tulsa King's another one. Where is season 2?
Yeah. Well, where is Outer Range?
Yeah, Outer Range is another one. It's been over a year since we talked about that, I think, right?
Yep.
Ridiculous. Look at the clapping hand from LD. He must have liked your rant there.
Okay, thanks.
What's going on? What did I miss? Troy ranting about George R. R. Martin, complaining about the anti-fans, what we used to call critics back in the day. I'm sorry, Siskel and Ebert could sometimes be mean, sometimes not be so nice with movies, but people were crying about it like kids when that happened back in the day,
right?
Except for maybe Burt Reynolds, but
well, and the other thing too is, and I think that's why the two different reviewers in one show worked really well. Sometimes they agreed, but oftentimes they didn't, and that kind of underscores we're not shills, we're not on any one particular bandwagon. We disagree about this. He likes it, I don't. If you watch the show on a regular basis, you get to know which one you usually would side with,
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. I haven't bashed House of Dragon. To be fair, I've not watched it, so maybe it's good, maybe it's bad.
Everything I've heard about it was good, but I have so lost interest that it's another one of those ones that, it was good, but everything around it has been so bad, I've walked away. You tell me there's a good Marvel show or a good Star Wars show. People keep telling me about Andor. I'm sorry. I'm just not interested. I have other things to watch. I got like 3 more episodes of that Korean show that Netter and I need to watch.
Where's the end of season 5 of Yellowstone? It's funny how I Yellowstone is a show I haven't watched, which I know I need to. Yellowstone is the modern Game of Thrones phenomenal series. I keep forgetting that is the big series.
While sadly I haven't gotten into that show, even though my mother kept pushing me to check it out and whatnot.
There's spinoff series too. In fact, Harrison Ford was on one of them. Yeah,
there's just so much now to get caught up on, but from what I've heard about behind the scenes, there's some network and the writer have some rights issues going on and stuff. So and then some of the actors are being a little problematic. So there's some things that are holding up that show.
Except those film critics were just assholes toward historical war films. Not sure which movies you're talking about. I know they liked Saving Private Ryan when it came out, but I'm trying to think about it. Where's that Spielberg? Of course, not that they'd always give him a pass either, but I'm trying to think if there's one they didn't like. They probably didn't like 1941. That's probably the one they went after.
That's probably not one of the first movies you think of when you think of a history film. But.
It's actually not as bad as the critics said it was. 1941. There's some good physical gags in that movie. Actually,
yeah, I'm sure.
So I mean, I think you need to cut Spielberg some slack on that. It was very an unlike movie for him to do too back in the day. Let's Tora. Okay.
So, should we talk about another celebrity see you next Tuesday?
Yes. You like this? You like the picture I picked? I tried finding the Elmo pick, but then I thought, no, let's just pick a whining Wesley. Was that from the episode where Deanna Troy died?
No.
Deanna Troy died. The other one. Not,
Denise Crosby's character.
Crosby.
Tasha Yar. Yeah.
Tasha Yar. That's right. Never mind. Actor Wil Wheaton blasts comedian Larry David for jostling beloved Elmo.
No, wait a minute. This was a Q episode. This was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, this was the one where. Yeah.
Oh, he gets stabbed in the back.
Riker gets the
pig.
powers of Q, and he uses it to save Wesley and beam everyone back to the ship.
Wesley gets stabbed in the back by one of the pig guards, right? With the bayonet.
Which, ironically, you find out is part of the backstory for Picard. He was stabbed by an alien through the back, through the heart.
You know, they didn't do a ton with the Nausicaans on Star Trek. We always heard about the Nausicaans. We did see them on Deep Space Nine. Do you remember?
Yep.
How I think some Ferengi hired Nausicaans as his bodyguard or something. Yep. I thought that was funny. I miss Deep Space Nine. I miss old school Star Trek. Nothing's right anymore.
Me too.
Please, Battlestar Galactica, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Their new series. I don't have high hopes though, but we won't judge until we hear more. All right. Okay, so this is just stupid.
Yeah.
I told Troy to stop the press basically because I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So let me read the article.
Shut up, Wesley. He really does.
This is beyond the pale. Actor Wil Wheaton is slamming Larry David, saying the comedian's jostling of Sesame Street character Elmo this month on morning television stirred up unpleasant memories of childhood trauma. Wheaton is in an expletive post on Facebook this week, because I guess he's not an X anymore, lambasted the creator of Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm, calling the February 1st incident on NBC's Today Show appalling, unforgivable, and despicable. Wheaton of Star Trek The Next Generation said in the nearly 900-word post, Elmo's character is a child who is beloved by multiple generations. He also said when he was young, he was abused by his father. When David grabbed the Muppet by the face and pretended to punch it, the negative memories returned, Wheaton said. Full disclosure, all the time when I was growing up, my dad would grab me by the shoulders and shake me while he screamed in my face. He choked me more than once. He was always out of control, always in a furious rage, and always terrifying. He wrote, I'm a 51-year-old man, and my heart is pounding right now, recalling how I felt when I was a little boy who loved Grover the way today's kids love Elmo. So this is appalling, unforgivable, despicable. X hits more than one raw nerve for me, and I'm going to say what I wish I had been able to say when this sort of thing happened to me. Earlier this month, Elmo appeared on the Today Show with his father, Louis, to trumpet the importance of emotional wellness after his seemingly innocuous "How is everybody doing?" post on the platform X spiraled into an online trauma dump. Did this happen?
Yeah.
Elmo did this thing and people are talking to Elmo and talking about their trauma?
I guess. I haven't seen the whole segment.
He's a Muppet. These are adults doing this?
Yeah.
At the end of the Today segment, David, who appeared on the show afterward, tussled with Elmo. Elmo responded in the character's trademark high-pitched voice, Mr. Larry, Elmo liked you before, adding, sit down on the couch and let's talk about how you're feeling. While laughing hysterically, David later apologized, saying, Elmo, I just want to apologize. He later said, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Wheaton called David's apologies insincere.
He's talking to a fucking puppet. How sincere is it supposed to be?
What is this? What world am I living in now? What is this? This clown world? This is a puppet.
It really is.
This is not a real person. Wil Wheaton. And don't say he's real to the kids.
This is what I said. Do people understand that this is a puppet on somebody's hand? He was shaking somebody's hand.
Larry David, this was not okay, and your obviously insincere apology clearly communicates that you don't get that, he said. First of all, you aren't even in the segment, but you just decided to barge in and draw focus because why? You couldn't stand that a puppet brought people together in a meaningful way. This is like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
I know.
This is something that would happen on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He would fake punch a puppet, and then suddenly there'd be angry people after
Apparently,
Larry David.
Netter was saying that apparently a lot of people in the comments thought it was a bit, thought this was a Larry David-esque, kind of bit, until they started to realize this snowflake is friggin' serious.
Okay, if any of you have ever had a puppet that you put on your hand growing up, or known someone has one, the thing that a kid will do is they'll try to attack the puppet on your hand. It's just a thing that people do.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Chill out, Wil Wheaton.
I mean, I would love to see how he reacts to a fucking Punch and Judy show.
You are older than me, and you're acting like a snowflake. This is embarrassing. You couldn't stand that a puppet brought people together in a meaningful way that you can't. You know what? Larry David does bring people together, brings them together in laughter, and they can laugh. There was a funny bit on Curb Your Enthusiasm where he didn't want to. There were people he was around in his life he didn't want to hang out with them, make conversation with. And then someone said, "Oh, you don't wear a red cap. If people think of MAGA cap, they want to hang out with you." So he starts wearing a MAGA cap, and then suddenly people he doesn't like, they stop associating with him, and they don't want to hang out with him. So he uses that as a means to get rid of these people he doesn't like. And the thing is, that's political humor, but it's not. It's basically hits both sides. You understand?
Yeah, it does.
It's showing kind of ridiculous of the overreactions. Representatives for David were not immediately reached Friday afternoon. It's a pity. I think this is Curb Your Enthusiasm final season. He could have done a bit on this in the show.
Yeah,
of him attacking some puppet, like coming on some kid's show, and then like he attacks.
That would have been a good cross promotion.
This is like something out of Seinfeld. That's what this is.
Yeah.
What do you think of Wil Wheaton, though? I mean, imagine today's idiots watching the old Mr. Bill shorts on SNL. Oh, tell me about it. People would be triggered. Remember Mr. Bill?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, no. And then you get run over and flattened. And yeah, exactly.
It's just ridiculous.
Okay. I mean, gosh, actually, Mr. Bill was like the South Park Kenny, decades earlier.
Yes, the South Park Kenny. I'm going to say something about Star Trek. I always thought the civilian clothes on Star Trek were terrible. No wonder everybody wanted to join Starfleet. They'd get better clothes.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Not in the movies. Like when DeForest Kelley was wearing some kind of like weird jacket, like leather type jacket, that looked all right. That looked like a good. Well,
I don't know. First season, you get to see a lot of them in their civilian outfits, and they were like horrible 70s, retro futuristic, like LeMay leisure suits and stuff.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh.
That happened on that show UFO I Love, where it's supposed to take place in 1980. It was made in 1970, but it takes place in the 1980s because they were.
Yeah.
What's life going to be like in 10 years? So you have different style cars, and different styles of dress, and as usual, per 70s tradition, there's always the suits with no ties. They kept predicting the tie was going to go away. Remember that?
Right.
Like you watch the one Planet of the Apes movie that takes place in the near future. Everyone has the suits, but there are no ties. Kind of like how in Babylon 5, people wore suits without ties. Remember on Babylon 5, they were wearing the suits without the ties.
They keep trying to make it a thing, but it'll never be a thing because you have to remember that fashions that have lasted for so long will continue because of a certain nostalgia. We look back at, I'll tell you, when Netter and I would dress in our Victorian garb, we would get so many compliments. When I walk out of the house with a fedora on, why don't more men wear hats anymore? Nothing's stopping you,
I think the trick is, if maybe with modern day, if you find a style you like from the past, see if there is in any way, shape, or form, and a modern equivalent that sort of emulates it maybe in some way. That might be the way to turn the ship around.
This is the thing that I've come to realize from years of historical reenactment and stuff. From the Victorian era on, men's styles don't change very much.
No.
I could very easily go into a formal wear store, get, a formal outfit, a suit or whatever, and it would fit Victorian, it would fit the 40s, it would fit today,
Yeah, that's why the Doctor didn't always look out of place on Doctor Who sometimes, because he would, like at least the David Tennant, I think he wore the suit, right? So, but the
female companions always had to change their outfits, otherwise it would be scandalous, right?
Yes, exactly. Except for in the case of Victoria during the Patrick Troughton era, because she wore an 1800s dress, remember?
Right.
She was another one. I guess she was from the Victorian era. Whereas in Batman Beyond, they predicted that the tie would go away. It's the tie is always going to go away, except it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you have to look at it from a
lapel,
sensible.
yeah.
You have to look at it from a sensible fashion standpoint, right? If you think about what a suit looks like without the tie, it looks weird, especially if it's buttoned up to your neck.
Yeah.
Then you have all this white underneath it. Even if you have a three-piece and you have a waistcoat, there's all that white there that needs to be broken up.
That's why these future suits would often have black shirts instead of white shirts to go with the black suit.
True. But yeah, the other thing, though, getting back to this, the other thing is that Wesley was a very unlikable character. And you have a lot of the snowflakes defending, Ray and all the others, getting bent out of shape about the concept of Mary Sue. Keep in mind that that would apply not just to women. Yeah, Wesley Crusher was very much a Mary Sue character.
Dude,
call him Gary Stu if you want to. He was an insert character for
Gene
Roddenberry. And he was the genius kid who was obnoxious and everything because he was a know-it-all. And it's like, that's not a likable character.
Part of me wants to say kids in the audience do not like prodigies. Like whenever you're a kid and you see a prodigy kid, like some kid that's a piano virtuoso, your instinct is not to like him because your parents or teachers are going to compare you to him. And then you end up not liking the kid. But then there are other cases like with, I guess, the inventor in The Goonies. I kind of liked him. Of course, his inventions wouldn't always work, so maybe that's why. I don't know why I liked him. Remember the one who was played by the kid that plays Short Round?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
well,
they didn't. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. I think kids would prefer. I'll tell you what, a good character who I think is the antecedent to Wesley Crusher in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Actually, one of my favorite characters. Wish she'd been developed more. Ensign Sonia Gomez.
Yes.
She's an engineer who's a little klutzy. She's sweet.
Yes.
She tries hard. She works hard. I think she's the kind that people would easily relate to.
I was thinking she could have been a romantic interest for Geordie LaForge. I was sort of wondering if
that would have been nice if that would. Well,
yes.
I don't know because it would have been awkward because he would have been her direct supervisor.
I know. Yeah, it would have been awkward. You're right, but it happens. But, yeah.
I mean, as the series was going on, I could totally see her transferring out of engineering into maybe security, right?
Exactly.
And then saying, maybe he'll notice me, maybe we can, and then start that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
But then I know how the later seasons of Next Gen were going. They'd probably killed her off, because security.
Probably. Yeah, it would have been this horrible thing, and then we'd forget about her.
But again, all good character development, right? You never get that kind of crap with Wesley.
No, his most interesting thing when he was siding with the Indians on that planet, the tribes that were going against the Cardassian Treaty, that was when he was a little more interesting.
Yeah,
and then he had that screw up at Starfleet where he did that maneuver that got someone killed, or he was helping with that maneuver that got someone killed, and then it was this
and he was part of a cover up. That was the big.
And then he finally came free with it, but that was sort of interesting. So if they had developed that side of him more, where he wasn't the perfect guy, where he actually failed at something, that would have made him more, I think, endearing to the audience. But anyway, that's not what we got. But now he's some kind of Time Lord on the new Picard series. Anyway, that's what I heard, at least.
Something like that, kind of.
Funimation is shutting down and taking your digital library with it. Oh, this is a nightmare. What do you often say? What's
always own physical media. This is what happens when you don't.
So some of you may not understand what's going on here. So apparently, I think Funimation had a streaming service and another service where you could buy anime, but also look at it streaming if you subscribe, and you could also buy anime on it. I bought a couple of Funimation Blu-ray sets that came with digital copies. And I'm like, oh, cool. It comes with a digital copy. I can put on my Vudu. It says, nope, you have to use it on the Funimation site. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But I didn't buy the Blu-ray to get the digital copy. I bought the Blu-ray to get the Blu-ray. So I never ended up using the code. Well, apparently if you had used those codes or just bought the items digitally, well, you're screwed. Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse Corrado. Do you own stuff on the Funimation? Sorry. It sucks. If you own stuff. Funimation is shutting down on April 2nd, 2024. The anime streaming service will start migrating existing subscribers to Crunchyroll, a move that will only affect subscription prices, but will also wipe digital libraries. A support page on Funimation's website says the service will automatically transfer existing subscribers to Crunchyroll because Sony bought out Funimation. Sony owns Crunchyroll. That's why this is happening. No point in having two separate anime services when Sony already had one and they bought the competition distributor. Noting that the transfer may vary depending on your specific payment platform, subscription type, and region, but the page unhelpfully doesn't say how much subscribers will have to pay following the transition. Only that legacy subscribers will see a price increase. So you wipe out the competition, then you raise your prices. You'll have to check on your email to see how much you'll have to pay. Since I'm a legacy subscriber, my price is going up. Instead of paying $5.99 per month for the Funimation Premium Plus when I was grandfathered into it, I have to pay $9.90 a month for Crunchyroll's Mega Fan plan. For some reason, my email lists my new price is $12.49 Canadian, which is how much Canadian users have to pay for the Mega Fan plan. I'm not the only one getting a price increase either. In post on X, one user says they'll be seeing their yearly subscription go from $54.95 to $99.99. You're getting hosed. Come on, that's more than than some of these British services to pay for subscription. It's anime. Come on. It says anime's become more popular and now they can start upping the costs on this stuff. But let's go to where it says, to make matters worse, Crunchyroll won't support digital copies redeemed through Funimation. This promotion allows users to redeem digital copies of Funimation Blu-ray or DVD they purchased, giving them the ability to store and view the show through the streaming service. So I hope they didn't have to pay for their digital copies. I hope that's not what this is saying. Funimation said users could keep those copies forever, but that's clearly not the case now because Funimation no longer exists, basically. It's a name brand owned by Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
According to Funimation support page, Crunchyroll does not currently support Funimation digital copies, which means that access to previously available digital copies will not be supported. In other words, all those digital copies are going away too, which is a massive bummer for anyone who purchased or later sold eligible DVDs or Blu-rays hoping to store the digital copies of Funimation forever. I never did that because I remember at the time when I bought the Blu-ray, I was not even a big fan of Funimation to begin with because I know they were messing around with some dubs. The whole Vic Mignogna situation, they had basically pissed me off. But the trouble was Zillion came out, and I knew Zillion's never going to get another release. It's an 80s anime. Let's face facts, the younger generations, do they even care about 80s anime? So I figure you want Zillion, you're going to have to buy this Funimation edition of it. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Apparently there was a spin-off OVA series from Zillion that is basically a carbon copy remake of Streets of Fire. Even though it's like a science fiction about, I guess, colonists fighting aliens, they did a spin-off series that is basically just a redo of Streets of Fire. Mm-hmm. Because they love Streets of Fire in Japan. You know the movie with Diane Lane?
Yeah.
Rick Moranis? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were obsessed with Streets of Fire in Japan. Anyway, the writing has been on the wall for Funimation for quite some time. When Sony acquired Crunchyroll in 2021, made plans to combine Crunchyroll and Funimation into a single streaming service. After that, Crunchyroll inherited a huge library of content from Funimation. But Funimation remained online while adding episodes of continuing series. We didn't know when Funimation was going to shut down until now. If you're interested in transferring your Crunchyroll subscription, there are instructions in the support page, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so basically you're losing your digital copies. You think when you have the digital copy, you have them forever. So do I. I have digital copies through Vudu. But who knows? One day they may all go up in smoke. And to be fair, many of these digital copies were redeemed through digital things I got through DVDs. I did on occasion purchase certain movies on streaming services because they were cheap on sale. It's like the price of a rental. But now, who knows? Those copies may disappear one day.
Jesse says, Troy, fun fact, did you know Funimation released so many copies of Dragon Ball Z series, but with dialogue, voice actors, and soundtracks to make things worse when they made the digital restoration?
Interesting.
We'll always have Team 4-Star Dragon Ball Z abridged series.
Oh, right. I remember Dragon Ball Z. It had two. It was famous for having two different dubs because I think Funimation did their own dub, but then there was an original dub that was on the anime during the '90s, which they did release on DVD with the original English dub, which I actually ended up giving to as a going away present to a young lady I worked with because apparently she was obsessed with Dragon Ball Z. And I remember when I told her I had it, she was threatening to break into my house and steal it. So here's your going away present, you know.
Oh, that's nice. I know.
I
Netta used to watch
yeah.
Dragon Ball Z back in the day too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was either Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon. I guess maybe people watch both. I watched Sailor Moon. That was my weird syndicated anime series I watched because it was so bizarre.
Sure.
There was a season of later Sailor Moon where all the villains were circus themed, right?
Okay.
And you know, Sailor Moon and her friend they transform into their Sailor Scout superpowers, and then the monster they have to fight starts juggling, and they go juggle, 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 and instead of attacking this monster, they suddenly go into applause.
Okay.
No, it was ridiculous. It's like an automatic response. They were so impressed with the performance, they went into applause. And I'm like, and then of course the thing started attacking them. And it's like, why did you go into applause? You knew this thing was going to attack you. And I think, yeah, but her juggling was just so good, we had to do an applause.
Oh my god.
It was a lighthearted series.
I guess so.
It was just ridiculous. It had a whiny brat as the lead who had to be the main hero. It's just horrible. You're talking about the Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z from Canada. Yep, that was the one from Canada. Yeah, they did release that briefly on DVD in a set. It was called Dragon Ball Z: The Rock the Dragon Collection, and it was released on DVD. Not on Blu-ray. They didn't bother remastering it, but it was released on regular DVD. So, as you say, own physical media, but hopefully, if these were copies that you redeemed digitally, you still held onto your Blu-rays. Now, if you're like me, when you get your digital copy, you're great. It's convenient. I don't have to slip the DVD or the Blu-ray player into my player. I can just watch it on the digital. But now you want to be thankful that maybe you have to get your copies out of storage now. All right.
All I'm going to say is that if you own physical media, you can always make your own digital copy. Just saying.
Yes, Jesse Garrotta, the Sailor Moon DIC dub. I don't have the DVDs for the earlier seasons because I was torn between buying either the Japanese version or the English version. But I did buy the bilingual versions of S and Super S later on when they came out, where they changed the voice of the lead actress. And I remember when I first watched it, I didn't like the lead actress as much as the original dub actress for Sailor Moon. But then I got so used to her that I couldn't listen to the original actress again. It was weird, you know. Okay. Final story of the night.
Yep.
Argyle didn't do well. I don't even know if this is even worth spending too much time on. But New York, Apple has its first box office flop. Argyle, the 200 million star-studded spy thriller from Apple Studios, debuted with 18 million in ticket sales, according to the studio estimates Sunday. The film, directed by Matthew Vaughn, managed to lead weekend box office, but still found little interest from moviegoers. Although Apple has been in the original film business since 2019 and won an Oscar Best Picture 2021's Coda, the company has only recently produced its own lineup of big budget releases. The first two, Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon and Ridley Scott's Napoleon, could be called successful. But looks like Argyle, the same can't be said for Argyle, a twisty thriller with starring Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, and Henry Cavill. The movie was badly dinged by critics who gave it a Rotten Tomatoes score of 35% fresh. Ticket buyers also gave it a thumbs down with a C+ cinema score. Apple has paired with traditional studios for each of those releases. Universal Pictures handled the rollout of Argyle, which opened to 3,605 North American venues and took an additional $17.3 million in 78 international markets. So this movie's kind of a bomb. It had Kingsman director Vaughn at the helm, though. Look at that, Matthew Vaughn and. Okay, but yeah, it's just second place of the weekend, though, went to the Christian drama series The Chosen, which I thought, wait a minute, that's a series. The first 3 episodes of the 4th season of the series, which dramatizes the life of Jesus, played 260 theaters. Angel Studios release grossed $6 million Friday through Saturday. This reminds me, I think one of the I think with Game of Thrones one year, they actually did a special showing of the season finale and the season premiere of Game of Thrones. Of one of the seasons in theaters. You could actually have gone to a theater to see it. Yeah. Okay. And it looks like they did the same thing with The Chosen here. So that's good on them. That's incredible. Did that. I guess Angel Studios knows their audience. Yeah. Warner Brothers Wonka in its 8th week cost $200 million domestically. Paramount's Mean Girls crossed 400 million. The Beekeeper from Amazon MGM neared 50 million in its 4th week. I keep hearing very good things about The Beekeeper. Have you heard of this movie?
I only did just because it came up in a chat I was having with PJ from Morville Nation.
It's got Jason Statham in it, and I do tend to like his movies. He did one recently called Wrath of Man a couple years ago, which I thought was excellent. I do highly recommend that movie if you haven't seen Wrath of Man. It's an interesting take on a heist movie. But yeah, Argyle wrecked by reviews. There's the link to the article. And that about does it for the night. But I feel kind of bad because if it's a spy thriller, I was hoping maybe it would be the next best thing to getting Cavill as James Bond, which will never happen, which is a pity because I think he would have been perfect as James Bond, but now we're not going to get him. That wraps it up for the night. Back to the thumbnail.
Yep.
Something worse than Funimation Mountain of BS. I don't know what you mean by that, Jesse, but if you know of something, you can let us know in the chat. I'm sure next week we'll have plenty to talk about. There were a lot of trailers that dropped tonight. One you saw the Wolverine versus Deadpool, and the Wolverine and Deadpool. That's the name of the movie. Looks funny. I'll say that. We talked about that early in the stream. That's right.
Yeah, and there's a joke in the teaser trailer that. I mean, it kind of lets you know, he's going to be making some very off Disney brand jokes. He's going to still be doing that R-rated thing, you know.
If they let him go to town, that'd be funny. And it's also funny if they have him going through the other Marvel properties. Like, wouldn't it be neat if Nick Cage's Ghost Rider shows up in it at some point, right?
There is some implication that this is going to deal with some of that multiversal type stuff, and he's like, he says something to how does he say it? I'm like Jesus. I'm like Marvel's Jesus.
and the guy, there was an awkward pause where the guy didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, and that's acknowledging that Marvel needs to be saved.
That'd be funny. He's coming to save the MCU. Oh, I haven't seen an audience in such a stunned silence since Infinity War. You went. I guess you went to go see the chosen 3 episodes that were being shown in movie theaters. That's interesting. Okay. Take care, Lady Miss. Yeah, we're wrapping up now, but be sure to check out Deleted Scenes channel for something. Oh,
something.
Other Side of Midnight. Other Side of Midnight. Not something dark side. Other Side of Midnight.
Right.
Take care, everyone. Thank you, Lady Mist.
Deleted. I don't have it in my notes. So if you could put in your link for your stream coming up at in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead and post it, Deleted. I'll highlight it. And as always, you can always check out his. I do keep a link to his at least his pre-show, so you can get to his channel that way too.
Yeah.
What else is going on this week? Anything going on Monday night?
No, but just to let everyone know, I have a poll up on my community tab asking if people would be interested in a Monday live stream from me, and I'm kind of leaning towards doing some movie rewatches, something a little bit different from what Netter and Big Al are doing, something that's, either topical, because of what's in the news for the week, or
interesting,
or just something I feel like you guys would like to kind of get away from having any, like I've done watch parties on Fridays, but I want Friday to stay.
You want Friday to say last call, and the movies you would do on Fridays you would do on Monday evenings.
Exactly. So I'm going to do a regular Monday stream. I'm thinking something like Monday movie night or Monday night at the movies. I don't know, something. So, but that'll be in the future, not this week. So something to look forward to.
Something he's thinking about for the future.
Yeah.
And I guess that's Other Side of Midnight. There's the link. And Tuesday we have Sparkwood and 21 deleted that on Deleted Scenes channel, and it's going to be the Twin Peaks episode. Which one is the one coming up?
oh, I forget the name of the title. I don't know titles because they didn't have titles when I used to watch it. But yeah, we've gotten Audrey back from One-Eyed Jacks, and she knows some things about her dad that she didn't know when she originally went up there. And we are going to start moving into some new storylines as we wrap up the mystery of Laura Palmer and start finding out a little bit more about Dale Cooper's background, because it's starting to look like his old partner has returned.
Yes, so that'll be interesting, and we get to see. Maybe we'll find out what happens. What's going on with Harold Smith?
Yes, exactly.
Actually, it's not very funny. But yeah, live from Sparkwood N21, Lonely Souls. Oh, that makes sense. That sounds like.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That makes perfect sense.
So on nothing on Wednesday, I believe, for either of us, but on Thursday's things, what's going on?
Thursday things, because
Network.
Wednesday is of course Valentine's Day. So Thursday, Netter, who has been keeping alive the Peanuts specials, she's going to do a double feature. So it's going to be a little bit longer stream on Thursday. The two Peanuts
Valentine's Day specials. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about. I know Linus's Fit of Rage. It's worth checking out for that. Maybe I'll make a comment on that on Friday. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I could tune in. We'll see. I don't know. I have schoolwork to do. We'll see. Sparkwood of 21, and that'll be on Thursday's things. Friday, what's the topic? Are you having a special guest?
Yes. Friday we will have Jason Fox. I'm gonna butcher his channel if I don't look it up. Jason Fox, founder and owner of 540 Studios. He is going to be joining us as our subject matter expert of the night, because we're going to continue with our little mini series of entertainment as entertainment outside the U.S. as an option to Hollywood, which has been terrible lately. So we are going to the lands of Scandinavia, and I've got a list of movies I want to share with y'all, but I'm pulling in Jason because he actually is from Scandinavia.
Oh, great.
He could tell us about more more rounded group of movies than the ones I'm going to be coming up with, because all the Scandinavian films I know are horror movies. I don't want y'all that only horror movies come from Scandinavia.
No, I'm not too familiar with cinema from that part of the world, so I'm very curious. Maybe I'll get some recommendations. Stuff to watch. And Saturday, there's going to be a rewatch, I believe. Is it on Netter's network?
Let's see. We just did A Million Ways to Die in the West on Big Al. So this Saturday, Netter, do you know what we're watching on your channel on Saturday? Did we not mention this last week? Oh, yes. Perfectly. It's so perfectly timed. This is why I forgot. Just in time for Valentine's Day was the original marketing for for the movie. Deadpool. The original Deadpool.
Oh, of course. And that's timely
Saturday,
considering the news this week, too.
It's perfect. We had no way of knowing that they were going to be dropping the trailer this week, but it was just it's just the stars aligning, my friends.
Yes. And then that brings us to Sunday, where you can check out Deleted Scenes pre-show, unscripted, which I don't know if he has a topic yet, but maybe he'll come up with one during the week.
Yep.
And that will bring us back to Geeky Geezers. Can't spoil too much what we'll be talking about because we don't know yet, but I think one will be a certain PlayStation game that's been in the news lately. I might talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
And of course, apparently there's going to be some major Xbox news loosing this week. I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon of everybody else's speculation. I figure we'll get the official word of what's going on with that console, or if there will even be an Xbox console going forward. And there'll be other talk too. I'm sure there'll be some more Disney nonsense because they can't stay out of the news. Yeah. All right. So I'll catch you all next week. And catch me on Tuesday with on Deleted Scenes channel. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.